Hello, everyone, and we're live. Welcome to episode 7 of Where Heartbreak Feels Good, a dazzling podcast about stories that may or may not feel perfect and powerful. Today, we're reacting to our collective top 10 Star Wars, including the movies and all of the shows the canon ones mostly, including Visions. And today, joining me, we have my co-host Edgar.
Hey. I can't wait for such a calm, peaceful conversation about such a, how would you describe it?
A civil
Franchise.
Galaxy
with civil
United, if you
fandom.
will.
Yeah, Galaxy United.
The
Yeah.
best podcast of all time.
Just
And,
felt a
we're-
disturbance in the force.
Our basically honorary co-host at this point, Evan.
Oh, wow, it's over here. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I had so much fun with the A24 one that I decided to come back, grace you guys with my presence for the Star Wars one, which shouldn't be controversial at all. We all have the same list, so this podcast should be about
Exactly.
20 minutes long. No, I'm excited. This list took me a minute, especially getting those TV shows in there. So I'm excited to talk with you guys about all of those movies and shows.
And another returning guest, Sean.
Yeah, we're definitely not gonna argue about anything. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan at the moment.
And returning from, I think, our first episode, Alden.
Yeah, I did
It was
the
the Batman
Batman,
one, right?
Sec-
Yeah.
Batman,
second
which was really nice and peaceful. Everybody agreed that the Batman was great. The Oscars was peaceful until until crazy shit happened. We did that, and now we're here for this one. I could not ever miss this because I'm here to pick my hills and die on them.
And new to Where Heartbreak Feels Good, Nikki.
Hey everyone, nice to see you all and talk about one of our favorite, if not the one thing that definitely unites us all. Put us all, or like we're all in common. This is our like one thing for sure. Great to talk
Honestly.
about Star Wars.
Yeah, so let's just start it off with our list. Let me bring it up real quick.
Here we go.
Okay. Ready for some chaos?
I was
do it.
born
Nice
for
hat,
it.
Alden.
Perfect
All
timing.
right. Our top 10 list. Number 10.
Hey,
Visions
Star
made
Wars
it in.
Vision.
Nice.
Nathan.
So
Just
happy I
barely.
made it.
well played.
Really happy I made it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Well
glad
deserved
everybody
stuff.
reacted positively. That's nice. Because if you don't like this show, then I think that you're like, I don't think you need to like every chapter, but if you can't find something to love here, I don't think you like Star Wars because it hits so many different corners.
Dumb brain.
and I think you're stupid.
Visions is great.
I think you're a moron.
Yes, Visions is good, Trey. Yeah, Visions
Wait.
is like,
In the chat.
it's one of my favorite. You'll see when we do the personal list, it's really high on the list.
Mm.
I really loved it. I loved like most of them. And my favorite was probably Ninth Jedi. It's just like so much of what I love Star Wars, like all in 20 minutes. So it was really cool.
For
Mhm.
sure. I think my favorite was Lop and Ocho. That was my
Yeah,
favorite
that
one.
one's good too.
I mean, Vision's just fantastic. I'm a huge anime guy. I watch tons of anime, and Star Wars mixing in with the anime was a match made in heaven. So I loved it.
Yeah, I think my first reaction to Visions going through it all was like, there's not a single one of these I don't like. Like, all of them were good. Some I like way more than others, but all of them are great. And I think just the project in general is one of the purest things I've ever like witnessed, because it's like this amazing sort of cultural handshake that happened back, sort of like anyone who knows about the origins of Star Wars know how rooted it is in Japanese film and culture, and sort of being able to give Star Wars back to Japanese creators and say, you know what, you guys go nuts with the toys or with the toy box, and see what happens. And just sort of the way that there were no it kind of felt like no restrictions. I think the Ninth Jedi is a cool example where they sort of talked about how they had 2 stories sort of kicking around, and like we don't know which one to really go with. And I think someone at Lucasfilm was like, just do both, make it longer.
Yeah.
And they're like,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
So
The whole
I think-
idea of a Saber Smith, I think, with the daughter, the
Yeah.
family one, and then the Return of the Sith, and they just sort of put the, and then the
exactly.
like you said,
that
Nikki, like,
reveal.
the
of how
changing of
they
the blades. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
so,
So cool.
fucking cool.
it's great.
So yeah, it's a great exploration of what Star Wars means to different creators.
Yeah.
Is that episode the one that they said that they might do a sequel for a season 2?
It's one of the.
They
one of the-
definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the creator, like, because they all have their own directors, and I think he said he knows what would happen to Kara and Margaret of Juro, who's a great character. The characters that just stand out, I mean, throughout this entire thing.
Yeah.
I'm a Village Bride guy. That's my favorite. It's one of my
Mhm.
favorite pieces of Star Wars, period. That should have been, I mean, they screened it at the LCAP to try to get at that Oscar nom.
Nitty
for
got to
short.
see it. Yeah.
It didn't happen. I hate him so much
Distinct
for that.
honor. The distinct
Yeah.
honor.
And man, it's beautiful, and the way that F and Lop and Star Waver, the rock band, and the Elder as a villain,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
I just
Ronin
wanted to-
as a hero.
Aka
Hopefully you guys
Kiri,
mentioned
my
the
man.
Elder.
Yeah,
Atatiri,
it's
the music in
appreciated.
Atatiri is so cool.
Beautiful.
Subaki with his hat, and just the way that also, like, this show had the audacity to end on a downer. Like it
Yeah,
ends it ends with Subaki going to the dark side, and there's no promise of a follow-up. It
Not at
just-
all.
it just
Yeah.
ends. It's really bold. I love it. It's beautiful. And there's a panel for this, by the way, for people
Mhm.
watching.
It
a
sucks
Sunday.
because it's during the Siege of Mandalore screening, which is like top of my list. So
Choose
I'm
your
probably
side.
gonna miss it.
Top priority.
I'm gonna be at the Visions panel, and I'll let you know if they announce Visions too. I'll text you.
They probably will. They probably will.
They should. I'm so excited for Vision Season 2 because a lot of those, like we just talked about, could be up for like sequels. Like Lapinocho,
Yeah.
even Village Bride could get a sequel.
Yeah, she
Elder
leaves.
needs a
Ocho's still out there. The Elder, the Elder, they're
Yeah.
like, we don't know where he came from. We don't know what he's about.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
That's
a
what's-
prequel more of the sequel.
That's what's so
Mhm.
wonderful about every one of those episodes. Like every single one of those has a continuing story. Like you can,
Yeah,
you can
all
it's
of
a
them.
jumping off point, but it is also so well contained. It's
even
Yeah.
my least
the majesty.
favorite. My least favorite is the twins, and
Oh,
even that
least?
one
Really?
ends. And that, yeah, but even then, like, it ends, and he gets to this planet that's kind of Tatooine, and he's looking at the twin suns, and it's like, did he just go into the main Star Wars? Like, it just has those fun
Yeah.
questions. Like,
the American
was he in
Chavez.
another
Yeah.
galaxy far, far away, and now he's here? Like, it's really
He
weird.
looks to his
Interesting.
left.
I
he
never
sees
thought
Luke
about that.
Skywalker. He's like, oh hey,
Yeah.
Luke, let's go.
Yeah, it's just pure creativity, and it had the it just has, like, every episode just has balls. Like, it's such an not classy term for a classy project, but it just has balls. And if you haven't read Ronin, you should.
I need to. I really
I need to read Ronin. Yeah, it's one book I skipped out on.
Very good.
How long was all the show in production for?
Great question.
Do we know? I don't think we know.
No,
How long had they been
no.
making it?
Yeah,
I
at
don't
least
know.
2 years. Maybe?
It had to have
It's been
been
a
a
while.
little bit.
It's
'Cause I think that it
TV
was early. It was at least earlier, because when James
Exactly,
Waugh, neither do I, Trey. Good job. When James Waugh was talking about it, he said that it was one of the first things that Kathleen Kennedy had said to the team was,
Oh.
"You all like anime, and you're all always talking about it. Have we ever reached out to anybody to make any?" And so,
There were
Yeah.
people wearing masks in the behind the scenes, so
So
Yeah.
it's
assume
a year,
some of it was COVID.
yeah.
2 years.
So now, Josh, I have a question for you. Actually,
What's up?
this is a hypothetical, a multiverse question here. So you want to go to the Siege of Mandalore panel,
I do.
but what if at the Visions panel they aired the fresh out of the oven Ninth Jedi sequel?
Oh my god.
Cool. You're giving me. You made me have to sacrifice between two of my loves from Star Wars, man.
Josh, you just kind of like turned into the Colin Farrell. Oh, come on! What are you showing me?
Choose to save the one you love.
I would probably still do Siege of Mandalore because that's like one of my favorite pieces of I
Yeah,
don't
me
like the
too.
word
We've
content,
seen
but
Siege of
content.
Mandalore already.
I know,
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
I've
like-
always wanted to see that inner bid room.
What
with
I-
Me
people.
too.
That's
What
so
I wish
special.
that they would
I go
tell
with
us
Josh.
is, are they going to? Because I want to see the Siege of Mandalore. I'll pick Visions, but I really hope that the Siege screening edits it all together.
I
Take
think
out
they're
the
going to.
intros and
Mhm.
let the
That's probably what they're gonna
Lucasfilm
do.
hit and
Yeah.
let it air as a
Plus,
movie.
like we might do a cool like new Siege of Mandalore poster. That'd be really cool.
Ooh, a poster.
And Filoni's
I
gonna
love
be talking
posters.
about it after it ends, right?
yeah,
Yes, Noah, on my
Like-
side.
Back in Iron Man.
That's Ninth Jedi is my favorite. That was all. Was it?
I think we've
9,
mentioned all of
8?
them except T0B1. So shout out to little Toby.
I like
He was
that
cool.
one. That
Well,
was
did we talk
fun.
about
cute, yeah.
Tatooine Rhapsody?
that one? Rocks so
I just
hard.
mentioned the band, but
It's
yeah,
my least
Tatooine-
favorite, but
that
it's still
song
fun.
rocks. Yeah, the
The
song's like
song goes
legit
so
good.
hard. Yeah.
I love that Boba Fett was like,
I was
I'll
about,
vibe
I
with
was just about to
this.
say that.
Little anime bib.
It inspired
No,
his book.
Preston
Is
did
he
not
alright?
finish Vision, and it's one of the reasons why he's not here.
Oh, wow. Josh
You
is
have to have
good-
seen
good
all of the
impressions.
eligible Star Wars.
He ranked Visions last.
Yeah.
Fool.
I
It
haven't
kind of
seen-
ties up after the Phantom Menace commentary, right, Josh?
Oh man.
Well, so far this list rocks.
We nailed it, guys.
I know.
Right,
What is 9? Okay,
Let's
this
yeah,
would be-
call it a
this
day.
would
Okay,
be
let's go to
interesting.
9.
It's
Let's
a
see what
pizza.
happens here. Is it Mando? Is
At
it
number
Mando?
9,
Is it Mando?
we have Solo.
Hey!
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Did not expect that.
Ba-ba-dum.
Did not expect
Too
that.
low. Very excited though.
Yeah, it's
I
too
think this one was lower on my list, but just because I had to add in the TV shows, I'm like, I might like
Mhm.
the TV shows
Yeah.
more than Solo. But I adore Solo. The ending, people talk about the ending of Rogue One. The ending of Solo gets me every single time with Solo and Kira. Phenomenal moments there in the ending.
I mean, like
Um,
this is the inverse, right? Where you have
Yeah.
Battle Scarif, Battle of Andor, Mustafar. This is people doing business in an office, and it goes wrong, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna change the fate of the galaxy necessarily, unless you domino effect it to Han in New Hope. But it's just about people making choices. Like I've always likened this movie. Like this movie has more in common with 500 Days of Summer than it does with like action movies. It's about a guy
Yes.
who can't accept that she's changed, and she knows that she doesn't want the same things right now, but he thinks it's
Mhm.
still like it was. This movie rocks, and if you don't like it, you're wrong.
That's a fantastic comparison, Auden, because I talked about 500 Days of Summer during our or somewhere else, and that's a great comparison because both of them are very like interesting, flawed characters who are on different paths, and that's the beauty of Solo. Yes, it has like the cookie cutter going through like the Solo motions, but the characters in Solo are so strong that's what ranks the movie so high for me.
Yeah.
Also, for me, this movie is the movie that Twitter acts that Rogue One is like underrated, underappreciated. Like Solo is the actual underdog in this
yeah.
It
case.
really is. Mhm.
I also felt like Solo fulfilled the promise of what I thought an anthology movie was going to be, in that obviously it's Han Solo, so it's incredibly linked to the stories we know, but
Mm.
more so that Rogue One is very much, a direct tie-in to A New
Direct
Hope. Like,
prequel.
yeah, it's like so in the mix with it, whereas Solo is just like Alden said, like it's something kind of casual like in the end, like it's this small thing, it's a story, it's a heist movie, like it's just all these, it's a very different flavor to
I mean, it is all those
Star
things,
Wars.
but you still see stuff that was mentioned in the original trilogy, like every 5 seconds, like the fucking Kessel Run and Lando meeting Han and how we got the Falcon, like these.
but I mean
checkboxes.
story wise, like
Mhm.
story
it's-
beats, yes.
the plot is not so directly,
Yeah, the plot is really.
this is
I mean,
a-
it's like this is the most romantic Star Wars movie in so many ways. I
Period,
mean, it's romantic romance. It's sexually like making out in a closet. The deleted scene of Han trying to make out with her inside of the snake tub of water snakes or whatever.
he literally suggested banging on Lando's bed.
It's like and that was also the scene that George Lucas directed.
Yeah.
Really?
And
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Go
makes
further, go
sense. That
further.
adds up.
yeah, like because I guess originally Ron Howard directed it so that Han would take Lando's cape and put it back on the hanger, and George was like, Han wouldn't do that. You just drop it. Which is true. And it's romantic, bromantic with Han and Chewie. It's romantic like a boy in his first car. It's romantic like leaving home, like swashbuckling romance.
Yeah, Solo's is really sexy.
Agreed.
You're sexy, you know.
I'm definitely in the minority with this movie. I like it. It's just bottom tier Star Wars for me personally.
Mm.
I do like it a lot. Though.
Boo.
Until you watch it and then you're like, top 5 goated.
See, I rewatched it recently, and I do like it
Depending-
a lot more.
Depending what buttons Sean presses is how the list goes for him.
The thing is, though, what it sets up is far more interesting than the movie itself to me. Like,
I agree.
It's this really fun adventure movie, and like
Mhm.
the dynamic between Chewie and Han is so
Mhm.
good.
It's
And
beautiful.
also, what I like about this movie is that on a meta level, like a business level, it says to the audience, hey, we got this company in 2012. In 2014, we told you that there was an established canon and Legends was Legends now. And we told you that it all mattered. If you didn't believe us, that's your fucking fault. Because when people like, oh, Maul, they didn't explain it in this movie. Why is he back? I thought he was
Yeah.
dead. Oh, so I have to watch a cartoon? It's like, yeah, well, we told you
Yeah.
that it counted. This movie is the biggest like bow of respect to
100%.
animation.
that's what
that-
I say. Like the mention of
they've
our
shown.
setting, like the small stuff. It's by far carries the most.
There's even a
about-
Black Spire mention, which is really
Canon.
cool.
Mhm.
It's like the
Mhm.
canon movie.
It is the canon movie. Doc
Doc
Ondar.
Ondar.
It's got stuff that is still reverberating with Charles Soule having the Crimson
Mhm.
Reign,
The comics.
soon
It
the
ties the
Hidden
most
Empire.
into comics. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just all over. I mean,
I just found out
Lando-
about those comments like a few days ago. Like Sabe is in Crimson Dawn. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Sabe. So I mean, can we get Keira Knightley back as Sabe? That'd be awesome.
Please.
Yeah,
Bring him in.
cool.
I think also something I love about Solo is how it encapsulates the spirit of the character through its multiple, just like abysmal turns of luck, and like so. Obviously, we know the drama of the production, the box office. Well, on paper, against other movies, did pretty good. It's still Ron Howard's highest grossing movie, but
Yeah.
but for a Star Wars movie, it was, you know, a disaster. The box office. They forgot to submit the score to the Oscars. Like, is any other
Yeah.
it just sounds like Han Solo.
It also
It's
also
such
came
a
out
fun-
like
but it's got heart, and that is Han
yeah.
Solo.
I'm happy
it
you
also
guys.
came out like sandwiched between Infinity War and Deadpool 2, which is like
Mm,
wild
yeah.
and not
Nick
And then
and
even
Josh
when
were
it
able to
could have
turn
gotten
around.
its legs, Incredibles 2 came out.
yeah.
Like right there, like after it was like 1-2 punch, and then there's like stuff that like people don't even talk about, like because of like Target. You know, so many people buy their toys from Target. Target legally could not display Star Wars stuff because of the Marvel end caps had to be up and things, and it's
Infinity
like
War, yeah.
the whole thing. This movie didn't get a fair shake, and it ended up being the underdog and sort of the. And it frustrates me sometimes when you see people like, I skipped it in theaters, but it's so good. I want to slap those people.
Yeah, I got that a lot. I got that a lot.
But I'm also
Day
glad that they
one,
did.
baby.
see it.
Yeah,
I'm also glad they saw it.
because
Yeah,
also
and
there was a
music
lot of
as well.
there's a lot of
Mhm.
people who were like,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
John Powell.
I heard the media talk about how he's like not a good Han Solo and he needed an acting coach, and it's like, really, that's gonna make you not see it? But
Yeah, come on.
we're also not the general public, I guess.
Exactly.
Nope.
But what's so fascinating, this is 1 year prior to like the big Disney Plus push. Like this totally could have been a series, and it looks like a movie that could have been a series. So I'm always like hoping that this
It was in production like 3 years
Yeah.
before that, or even
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
before Force Awakens. it was
They were
in
working on
production.
I
this.
still
George
kinda
was
wish it
working
a
on this.
series.
exactly.
This was
Yeah.
the only thing that George was doing movie wise with Kasdan.
He
And
really-
part of the deal for Kasdan to come in and co-write
Was just to do
7
this.
was okay,
Mhm.
but that after you have to do,
Yeah.
you know,
Movie.
so it's a whole thing, but it just feels right. Like this continues to age well.
Yeah, you know.
Arjun
yeah.
thinks Han is force sensitive.
Yeah, that's what
Interesting.
Filoni thinks too, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah, like I like the idea
Yeah,
that Han
said
is
that
the
too.
kind of like rascal that the cosmic force knows will prevail, so it puts him in positions.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, everyone has
Yeah.
some sort of force sensitivity.
The
Yeah.
Force can work I think just can work through people.
Yeah.
Like the way like Chirrut is the perfect, like the prime example, right? Like
Yeah,
Chirrut can't do that and make something move, but the Force
Yeah.
conduits.
but he
through.
clearly, but like
Chirrut's
his
so much.
belief
His belief is rewarded.
protects him, and
Yeah.
you see that with like in active ways, like with Tyr, in passive ways, like with Shmi, you know, casually having a baby that was not conceived. There's like, I like the idea that the Force has all of its plans. Like the Force is like the good side of like the One Ring. The One Ring wants to be found to do terrible shit. The Force wants to be in balance. The Force wants to be okay. People keep messing with it.
Let me know. Stop it.
And the Force has to constantly swat them away. So it's like, oh, I got this pilot that seems to have a lot of, you know, grit. Maybe I'll have him meet the Chosen One's kid. Like, you know, get that together. So
Yeah. What's number
Yeah.
8?
Are we ready to move on?
yeah, so far I'm not enraged.
Number 8, we have The Mandalorian.
Wow.
Damn.
It made it.
That's pretty low.
Low, but I'm
Pretty
glad
low.
it's on here at all.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. It wasn't in my top 10, but I'm glad it's over here. I think I would have had Solo over maybe not. I'll forget which one.
Mandalorian was my number 11.
Ah,
So
there we go.
just missed.
It was in my top 10.
It was in mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mando is such an interesting show for me. Like, I think I had a great time with season 1. Season 2 just doesn't have that. I always think badly back on season 2. I think season 2 starts off on a fantastic note that just doesn't end well for me. I think I'm not a huge fan of basically everything starting with the Ahsoka.
The last 4 episodes.
The last 4 episodes just don't ring. They don't really connect with me. I don't really get emotional about the Ahsoka episode or the Boba Fett coming in action sequence episode. I do like the Rick Famuyiwa penultimate episode. It's a fantastic, well done.
As you should.
That one is so well
Nice.
directed, so great.
I don't love it.
But then the finale, I'm just like, not for me. Not for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall though, I think Mando is such a unique main original character from Jon Favreau and Filoni. It's like, it's remarkable how they got their bounty hunter that they just crafted, who is similar to Boba Fett, but then has his own redeemable features.
He has more
Makes him-
like humanity, I think. Wait,
Yeah.
before we saw
Before
the
Book
Boba
of Boba
Fett
Fett.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like Din Djarin, the cloth of his character is like 1/3 Boba Fett, 1/3 Indiana Jones, or just Harrison Ford in general. Like no one in Star Wars gets their ass beat like Din Djarin does.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
episode 1 with, you know, the beast that attacks him when he gets the Mithril, all the way through to needing IG-11's help at the end, then
The
Mudhorn.
and
It just keeps going. The
yeah.
Jawas, like it just keeps going. So he's so fallible. And then the third part is new Star Wars fans. He has no
Yeah.
idea that he's in a Star War.
Yeah.
Like when he looks
I love that part
at
of it so
when he
much.
looks at a rock and goes, "This look Jedi to you?" like how-
You a Jedi?
yeah, this man has no concept of what's like when he meets Bo-Katan and Casca and Axe are like, oh,
He gives you a
he's-
fuck.
He's one of those. Like he's
Yeah.
he's
In a way,
moron.
Din Djarin, the fact that the show gifted us with Din Djarin, right, one of the most recognizable Star Wars characters now, despite
Mhm.
only having seen his face for
Yeah.
for like at least 3 minutes in total screen time. And in a way, you could say he works as the embodiment of Star Wars and what everything Star Wars is about, because he's like every character crammed into one, and every personality trait crammed into one without knowing anything about the Force or the Jedi or anything in general, right? Yeah, just for giving us that character that is so iconic, and the music and everything it's able to do.
Yeah.
Oh man.
These
think-
moments. You
I
know.
think this show belongs in the top 10 because Baby Yoda changed the world.
Honestly,
Like-
yeah.
Like
you gotta think
the
outside Star Wars, you know. You gotta
pop
think about
culture
what this shit did for
landscape
pop culture.
was forever changed by
It's
little
like-
Grogu.
It can't be
And, like,
overstated.
It's that's the way it is. People who don't know anything about Star Wars, like, oh, Baby Yoda. like it was
Yeah.
just an absolute
I mean,
phenomenon.
I remember going into work. Well, the day it aired, you know, I at the time I was working at like 5 a.m. So, but the next day, I had people in the building like, so on that streaming show, is that like Yoda as a kid, or like people had no but they just wanted to be in the know because you could tell that the zeitgeist had been tapped.
And they
Like
wanted
something.
one. They wanted one physically.
I want. I want to
Yeah.
touch.
And they
I
made a
want-
lot of
I want
them.
to touch.
And what the show did for Rebels and Clone Wars and animated stuff in general made people appreciate it so much more.
Yeah.
Because this is the gateway, right? This is the bridge for people knowing about who Ahsoka is. Or,
Yes.
or
Definitely,
even
yeah.
Thrawn or
And that's the other
whatever.
thing. Like when people, this is a much bigger conversation, and we'll talk about it more if Book of Boba gets on this list or if it's on any of the individual ones. When people get mad that this show includes characters from other shows, or when they get mad later on that Book of Boba is casually season 2.5, it's also, like you said, we have to look outside of our Star Wars bubble. They're fighting a streaming war. It behooves them to make you watch things that are behind their paywall. When people say, why is it that Mando gets so many figures and toys, but the sequels don't? It's like, well, because the sequels
Mando's
are
their big thing right now. Yeah.
it's extremely accessible. They want to push the thing that you have to pay $9 a month to watch. So of course they're going to be like, Ahsoka show, here comes Sabine. That way some kid's like, I want Sabine, and then they'll spend the next few weeks binging Rebels. That way, that keeps people in the service. It's good
It
business.
also kind of created Disney Plus in a way. Not saying that Disney Plus would not have been successful without it, but it kind of started it.
It was the
gave
launch,
It was the
right?
first show.
relevance.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
kept it
gave
on it.
like,
I mean, it was
relevance.
the service was on its back for a year because we
Yeah.
didn't have Falcon Winter Soldier
2
or
years,
WandaVision
honestly.
until the beginning of 2020.
That's crazy. All of 2020 was all just
Yeah.
empty.
It was just
I remember
Clone
people-
Wars.
People were complaining. They were
It was
like, "Where's all the-"
Mandalorian and Jeff Goldblum, baby.
I remember that.
Jeff was in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I watched Jeff get his custom sneakers.
What else do
Yeah.
you need?
That was
I
a good
still
one.
never
What else
watched
do you need?
that. Oh, and Imagineering Story. Can't forget that. That's
Oh,
still
yeah,
the best
that's
thing on
Oh,
super
my
good.
God.
yeah.
Super
yeah.
good.
God, that shit's been on forever. Like 3
Can't
years
wait
ago.
for Light and Magic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot for it in the list, especially when
Yeah.
it's
Mando.
competing with the trilogies. So
Mhm.
Mhm. And we mentioned it earlier, but the score can't go forgotten. The score is unbelievably great.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes,
High School Musical
Arjun.
is-
High School
yeah,
Musical,
High
the
School
musical, the
Musical, the
series is a
series.
masterpiece. Thank you.
What an acronym.
It's
so funny.
it's a show.
Watch that show if you have it.
It's a show.
Masterpiece.
I never
Also,
finished like the
um,
season 1 finale.
Great.
What the score, obviously, like we said, Ludwig, but this is also the beginning of sort of the live action testing ground, the playground of let's take a roster: Bryce Dallas Howard, Deborah Chow, some that are guaranteed hitters, Favreau and Taika, Dave learning live action. Like it was the time to really let people flex and work and see if Star Wars could do a little bit of that. Well, yours is going to feel like you. Like nobody could do the 2 scout troopers sitting and talking for 5 minutes and one of them punches Grogu like Taika could. Like
That was amazing.
that's something he does. And Bryce put in a little bit of her father, a little bit of Jurassic, a little bit of this, and Deborah talking about, like, there's a direct line between Deborah talking about how important movement is when you have a helmeted character to now handling Vader. Like this woman gets it.
Yeah, this shit revolutionized television and the filmmaking industry.
Mando
in general,
also-
volume,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
gave us
Mando
Bryce Dallas
also-
Howard directing Star Wars. So
Yeah, that's a good thing. Mando also represents like a new era of ILM with stagecraft
Mhm.
and like new like technology that will obviously be used a lot in the future in filmmaking, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
'Cause I don't know if you know, but when Favreau was on The Lion King,
Never heard of it.
and
no.
yeah,
No,
never
hold
heard
on,
of
tell
it.
him how
Tell
he
them
and
about
Dave
Jungle
met.
Book.
Tell him how he and Dave met.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Fucking
No, I'll tell it.
Tell it.
So Dave was on Clone Wars, and I was mixing Iron Man.
I can't
and-
wait for that
I was
speech
doing
to return.
pre-biz.
I can't wait 2 weeks from now, guys, Anaheim for the speech to return.
If they say the
Please
same
don't.
shit in Anaheim,
They're going to.
I'm
They're
gonna
going.
write it on a crowd sign. So
Please
Dave
do.
was in Clone Wars, and I was working on Iron Man.
Can someone
That whole-
cosplay as the Jungle Book poster and go to the Mando Plus?
That whole Mando Plus panel is be about Jungle Book and Lion King.
the crowd should just chant like "Back in Iron Man."
Yeah, everybody needs to learn it like a song.
Okay.
Okay.
How often
You
do you
guys
think
ready to
Barry
move on?
Jenkins hears that these days?
Oh,
Like
God.
he'll call John and be like, "Hey, how'd you guys do this?" Well, when I was doing it, and then it's like a 2-hour phone call.
Like fuck.
Actually, before we move on, might as well as asked, what's your guys' favorite Mando episode?
Oh, that's hard.
The Jedi,
The Jedi. Interesting.
What's the Jedi?
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah, not for me. I don't. What do I?
The Marshall's mine.
The Marshall's
It's
up
just
there.
the
I'm not- I'm not
scale
gonna
of
say-
that
I'm not gonna
episode is
say the
insane.
rescue. I'm not gonna say the rescue. Just that made me cry too much. It's probably the Marshall or the Jedi for me.
I don't even know the name titles. Fuck.
I will
no.
stick with The Child, Chapter 2. That is still pure
So
magic
good.
to me.
Wait, Arjun. Baz won't be back for season 3. Baz Idoline.
Isn't
cinematography.
Baz? Didn't he just shoot? Did Baz do? I feel like we just saw. Wasn't he? Didn't he do Book of Boba? So maybe he's on Ahsoka. or something.
He's probably doing Ahsoka. I was gonna say.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a little bit of a
Greg Fraser,
rotating.
hell no.
He always
Greg
does Dave's
Fraser
episodes,
is-
right?
Greg's like,
Greg
fool,
Fraser
I
be
just won an
doing-
Oscar.
what is he
All right.
doing right now? Okay.
Gimmer Radio is like that rumored High Republic show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the John Watts
Evan.
is attached to.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Baz
that'll be
always-
a big announcement for the.
Baz always
studio
does the
channel.
Filoni episodes, right?
I
Yeah.
think so.
He also did the Marshall.
And Dave Klein did Rodriguez. Dave Klein went from shooting Clerks, where people talk about Star Wars, to shooting Star Wars, which is fantastic.
And on the topic of Mando, real quick, just to say it, I don't think there's a single bland episode. Every single one of them has exciting.
I like all of them.
Gunslinger's good.
I like
Gunslinger's
all of
good
them.
because Gunslinger essentially set up the most out of all the episodes for the future.
I'm surprised like how much Gunslinger looking back
Gunslinger,
on it.
like, yeah, like, again, like I really think like Gunslinger with a better actor as Toro is a completely different narrative. He really
How
is
really?
like he's the issue, because when you look at it, that episode sets up the legend of Fennec. It's the first one that adds culture and respect for our Tuscans.
Yeah.
It's the first one that really gives you that post-imperial, like the dreary,
Mhm.
empty Tatooine, like so much going on in it.
Gives us
It's
R5
just-
back.
R5. It's just
It's
this guy
R5.
being a punk in particular.
It's a funny thing because Toro Calican is already by design not a likable character.
He's
Yes.
supposed
Yeah.
to not be
But
like
then- This
you have the actor.
Cannavale is like, oh my
Like,
god.
if you took Toro Calican and you
Wow,
plucked him
okay,
and you
okay.
dropped him in Rebels and you had like Dante Basco voice him,
fantastic.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. You know?
Dante Basco specifically. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, he totally be a Basco character, 100%.
I would love that.
But yeah, it's I don't just, and even things like Egg Gate. There was some controversy with Frog Lady in Chapter 10, but
I like
immediately
Yeah,
after,
love that episode.
first of all, that
that. Oh wait,
episode's
no, I
great.
don't like that. That's
Can
the
I-
Payne Reed episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I
Hey,
just
not
say
yet.
Edgar's or Evan's enemy.
Yeah.
I have
that guy.
had the word eggs muted on Twitter
You have
since that episode.
you committed to that too.
So if anybody is tweeting about like really good eggs that they're making, I'm not seeing it.
Never seen it.
Magic. Oh,
Because Star Wars fandom ruined it for me.
They sucked, and then they were all like, "Wow, he's just eating the egg." And again, like I'm not taking away from people that had legitimate criticisms from the point of view of motherhood, of course not. But Twitter discourse about it meant nothing. It's just a joke. Oh wait a fucking week. Next episode, Frog Lady and her husband are teaching him about the miracle of life. Like
Yeah.
it's it paid off immediately. So
It's amazing what happens when you wait a week.
maybe what happens when you just
Yeah,
watch.
Christ.
Like,
Yeah.
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 One of the downsides of the weekly releases. Like, one of the only
No,
downsides.
what are the upside? I still like it creates discussion. People get
What's the
happy.
discourse though?
It's
Whether
good,
it's
but
positive or
also-
negative, but yeah.
Josh
It's
wants
good
too
that it
much-
creates discussion, but it's also bad because it creates discussion.
The
It's
type
like,
of discussion.
exactly.
yeah,
Imagine-
if we
yeah.
didn't have it, nobody, like Bryce Dallas Howard, would not have her own
Yeah.
support and fandom
Yeah.
if we had been.
Mando would not be as big as it is.
No.
Like,
Not
can
at
anybody
all.
tell me
Yeah.
which episodes of Stranger Things the Duffers did, which ones Andrew Stanton
Mhm.
did,
Yeah.
which
Nope.
ones?
Wait,
and I
Andrew
love those
Stanton
guys.
directed?
Like
Stranger
two Stranger Things episodes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Point
Yeah.
proven.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I just watched the show, and I don't have
Exactly.
no idea who directed what.
No.
Exactly. So that's part of the
I
issue.
thought Millie Bobby Brown directed it all.
didn't she
could,
just
you never
didn't
know.
she just use her big brain and make everything happen?
She got nosebleed the whole production.
Millie's bleeding again, guys. Wipe her face.
Okay.
Mandalorian
And- oh,
is good.
The other thing, yeah, and the cool thing about Mando, the future is still so open on it. We got so much shooting off from the sides of season 2.
Yeah.
What else is in
Yeah,
store. Like
I'm
it's such a
actually-
big universe.
Yeah, I didn't complain how Mando kind of wrapped up the weird Luke Skywalker plot. 'Cause I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I'm excited
forgot-
for.
I forgot
Oh, you wrote
Stan's
Kenobi.
writing Kenobi. I forgot
But
about that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what Mando does now that they're done with the Luke Skywalker plot. Like season 3 is just so open to me now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm even more excited than I was after the season 2 finale. For
Yeah,
Mando
now
season
that
3.
Grogu and
There's-
Mando are reunited.
Yeah, once you're already
Right.
back,
Yeah.
like, thank you. Now let's just.
It
I'm
is
thinking
the
we're
most
going,
emotional
like-
part of all of Star Wars, by the way, Evan.
What?
The most emotional part of all of Star Wars, right there.
It's a
When he says goodbye to Grogu, you're Yatsumi?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say that's
Okay.
definitely probably a
That is
top
the
5.
most-
I had
Top 5.
uncontrollable sobbing.
Top 5 is
Did you
still too high for you.
Evan, you didn't cry during that at all. Evan, you didn't cry like a single tear.
Wow.
Evan just hates.
Maybe turn on
babies, is
Arrival.
what we're
Maybe.
learning right
Yeah,
now.
I hate baby. I hate baby.
Do you want to make a
Fuck
baby?
'em. Quote,
Says the
you wanna-
teacher.
Hey, go ahead.
I know, right? Hey, middle school, different. It's different.
True.
That's
But I'm
crazy.
thinking season 3 is be all about Mandalorian. Like we're going to Mandalore.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they have
I
Gideon in
think so.
custody. We still don't. We know he kept the Darksaber. We don't know if he fought Bo to take it. We don't know if Bo let him go. We don't know if there's a deal. So there's so much there.
Is he gonna
Um,
try to
the
prove himself
armor-
in the mines again?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
is
would
he
you
gonna
like
go?
to
Sabine's gonna be in it, and Sabine's gonna be like, "I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have gave it to
I don't
you."
think. I don't know if Sabine
I don't-
wants to
I
be
hope
in
not.
it. I don't think so.
But like
No,
he's
she
going through
won't.
the Hercules challenges here, like the mythological Hercules
Mhm.
challenges, prove his worth. I'm
Do
like,
we-
this could be interesting.
Do we see Din riding a mythosaur?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
One.
Eventually.
I don't know if
This
it'll be
year's
this
for sure.
season, but I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
time this is over,
He's gotta awaken the last mythosaur.
like if this ends with
Yeah,
like a
very much-
TV
it's like a one
movie,
episode.
like they've kept saying that, like
Ooh.
this is gonna end
That
in some
climactic
sort of
event,
event.
right?
So it's like if Thrawn is like,
I'm gonna
check
have a
out
climactic
my
event.
check out my army, and then and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
Mythosaur
like-
comes out.
It would be a good contrast to the first episode if it's the very last episode of Mandalorian, because when he wrote the blurb, right? It's a contrast
Yeah.
to the
Yeah, and
he says, like,
Mythosaur.
Your ancestors rode the Mythosaur. You can't even ride this, young foal. I miss Queel, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Queel.
Didn't know too.
He's doing fine, right?
Yeah.
Shut up, Evan.
Oh, sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't
he-
cry for that one either. Oh my
Quill's
God.
doing okay. He just built some rocks. And then left.
Interesting.
For the oh,
Interesting
gross!
idea,
Get out of here,
yeah.
Art. I don't want that. No.
No, I don't want an.
I don't
make
think
it
it
a
would do
TV
that.
movie.
You can't stop it, Evan, any more than you can stop
It's
the
made the feature
Future
length
Sons
on
from
Disney
Sony.
Plus. Yeah.
We watch Mando on movie theaters. Get out of here! I ain't paying money to watch Mando.
I will say I'm shocked that in the wake of COVID, they haven't tried to
Right?
fill seats and be like, we're airing, like the Oscar showcase, be like, we're airing
Mhm.
chapters 1 through 4 tonight,
Mhm.
and then 5 through 8,
Yeah.
and
I'm
then
surprised at
season
least some
2.
theater hasn't done that
This
yet.
is why
They wouldn't have
we need
hurt
to
them.
own a theater.
I was lucky enough to see chapters 1, 2, and 3 in a theater
Oh,
at a premiere event.
Oh,
yeah, El
before-
Capitan. Yeah.
Not well, it was at the El Cap, and they screened it in Chicago, and they screened it in Miami. So I was in Miami.
Nice.
They simulcast, and I had a row of fully armored up Mando mercs in Miami behind me. And when chapter 3 ended and all the Mandos flew out from the building, they all stood up and cheered. And that was the most
Oh
hype.
wow!
I had like Mandos on screen, Mandos behind me. We didn't know what the show was yet. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the best thing ever.
the show's hence why the show's fucking beautiful as fuck.
Hey Tyler, me too. Yeah.
What a guy.
Also,
Hot,
Tyler.
Tyler. It's hot.
I hope he
Okay,
kisses
are
me
you ready
twice.
to? Are you ready to move on?
Oh, totally.
This is number 7.
Yeah.
We're going through it so slowly. This is great.
So far, this has been smooth sailing.
Okay. Number
Let's
7.
hear it. Prequel movie? Prequel?
Force
No.
Awakens.
Hey!
Oh,
Makes sense, makes
okay.
sense.
Very
Force
cool.
Awakens
All right.
is
Surprisingly,
second.
a bit too low for my taste.
Episode
A bit
7,
too
number
low.
7.
A
It
bit
is a
too
good
low.
spot for Force
That's a
Awakens.
good spot.
I don't think it was in my top 10.
It's not in
But I-
mine.
Wow!
I wasn't here
Whoa!
that
I
surprisingly.
approve.
Okay, we gotta talk about this then.
I think it's in mine if I take shows out. That's the thing about this episode.
Ooh,
The shows
that's good,
changes
yeah.
everything.
Oh,
If I look at my letterbox, I think it's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Force Awakens is because Arden, you're talking about like having that top 5 set of Star Wars movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I think for me, Force Awakens is always going to be somewhere in my top 5, including shows.
Me too.
I think
Yeah.
because I
Force Awakens-
haven't. Yeah.
I was gonna say Force Awakens is my 8 with no TV
Okay.
shows. So
Really?
Yeah, I have
Oh.
TFA at Last Jedi Empire. Yeah, it's probably
I
like
have
number
a-
3 or 4.
Yeah, I have a solid
Oh.
4 that's usually TFA's in that 4 that would never really
Yeah.
change.
I have it above A New Hope, and I have it above Return of the Jedi for me. Like, I love The Force Awakens. It's the movie I digested probably the most out of the sequel trilogy, and just examining that movie, that period between 2015 and 2017.
That was the peak period.
That was
Rewatching that movie again and
hype.
again and again, discovering new layers to Kylo, new layers to Rey. Those character introductions for Rey, Poe, Finn, and Kylo are
Yeah.
immaculate. Perfection. Rey
Mhm.
gets no
Filmmaking.
dialogue for Rey is
the Rey
like, what,
introduction
10
is a
minutes?
perfect silent film inside of a film. It's
And
just
that
like
fucking score, like Ray's theme is
Ah.
one of the best of Williams.
it's amazing. And also let us not skip over the fact that for 30 years, not only did we wonder could Harrison ever do this again, it was does he even care? And he
Yeah.
came back so hard that, and we knew it from the trailers, but like when he comes in and he's talking with Daisy and Boyega, and he's like, she goes 14 parsecs, and he's like 12, like he slips into it like he never stopped playing it.
yeah.
He's
It's honestly the
perfect.
most rewatchable Star Wars movie, even so.
It's one of
Because
them,
like every
yeah.
time I rewatch it, I still feel like this sense of wonder, like this magic that what the hell is Disney Star Wars ever gonna be
Mhm,
like?
yeah.
And
This
I
is-
still feel the exact hype I felt in November or fall of 2015. You know,
This is still my most watched in a theater movie ever,
me too.
and I don't think
Really?
it's gonna change. Like
6 times.
I saw this 14 times,
Woo!
and
Jesus Christ.
and it is magic. Like I just remember opening night. It's the movie that we never thought would happen, and then all of a sudden it was real. And again, like I also think maybe the greatest moment I've ever experienced in my life was April, I think 12th, 2015,
Mm.
the trailer.
celebration
April
stage,
16th. It was April 16th.
Anaheim, California, being in the
Were you were in the
Room.
room? Oh,
room for
wow.
Chewie We're Home trailer.
Nikki,
like
it was
An out of body experience. I get chills thinking about that day.
it was
and-
April 16th. My
Was it that late?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Anyway, yeah. My God, just it's a magical movie. And you know, I won't sit around and nitpick the particulars, but like, just so much about it is. It's what there's a point. I don't want to take this point from Alden because he always says it super well, so I can let you expand. But it's the thing about JJ of getting to the core
Oh,
of what
yeah.
something is, and just
I went on a rant about this the other day.
Yeah.
And you know, on Twitter and in a couple of group
Yeah,
chats
sure,
that I'm
Alden
in,
Ryan,
where, like,
yeah.
where JJ Abrams gets a lot of heat, but the thing that he has that nobody can teach, they don't teach it to you. You just know it. And Matt Reeves can do it too. And it's no coincidence that they're childhood best friends, because Matt Reeves has done it with Apes and with the Batman now. JJ Abrams, however you feel about him as a writer or director, as a creative, the reason why you want him in the room, the reason why it excites me when they say he's producing Superman, I don't need him to do it himself, but to have him in the room is that JJ can look at the painting and say, I know how they did that brushstroke. I know how this worked. I know how these colors made this color. Like, he's the guy that can just break it down. He's the cleaner. He's the chemist. He's a fixer. Like, he's the guy that was like, oh, Mission Impossible 2 wasn't good. I know how Mission Impossible should be fixed.
Yeah.
Oh, Star Trek is dead. I know how Star Trek should come back. Oh, how do we capture 80s nostalgia? There's no Stranger Things without Super 8. Like,
Yeah.
he was the one that tapped back into that. And with Star Wars, a job that he rejected, the reason why Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy were like, no, dude, really think about it. You need to do it. Is that it was his idea that of what if there was a girl out there, like in real life, who didn't know who Luke Skywalker was or didn't know if he was real. He's able to just to find that nugget of why the thing is. Ryan's skill set is very different, which is, okay, now that we figured that out, what about it?
Mhm.
You know, and he's the guy that's like, oh, we found the nugget, smash. Like, and then what makes that up? But I'm
Arjun, you're the
sorry.
only person I know who likes
Sorry.
Mission Impossible.
You're the only person
I
that
like Mission
defends
Impossible
too.
too.
It's
John
not
Woo-
bad.
John Woo's great.
I
yeah.
didn't even get through it.
Wow, you can't
But,
get through it. Come
yeah.
on.
But three is my favorite Mission Impossible up until Nikki showed me
Three's amazing.
Fallout. Fallout is
Protocol.
just,
Oh, you're a 3 over Rogue
And then
Nation.
you you were that SpongeBob
I'm
meme
not-
of him
yeah,
like
yeah.
ascending.
Fallout is
Fallout is
so-
so perfect.
Fallout was a masterpiece. Yeah.
it's incredible. I still have goosebumps thinking about the double twist in the middle of Fallout.
Yeah,
with
the opera scene in
oh.
Road Nation though.
Rogue Nation's
Right, it's just great too. And Ghost Protocol is great. I mean,
It's
they
good,
have
yeah.
not missed since 3. I mean, it's
They
just been a
And 3 was, like you said, 3 is the blueprint for Mission Impossible. And then JJ Star Trek is one of my favorite all-time like blockbusters ever.
I mean,
love-
yeah,
That is
Star Trek
one of the
09.
perfect summer movies.
Star Trek
like,
09 is
perfect.
the next to Batman Begins and maybe
Yes.
the Batman. Batman has 2 of the definitive reboots now. It's like Star Trek 09 is that thing that was like, this might not be what Star Trek fans want, but it's what they need.
It's what I wanted, and it's one of the best trailers of all time. It's like, we need a captain.
Speaking
Have
of,
one.
Force Awakens is the best marketed movie ever, easily.
Oh yeah,
It's up there, yeah, for
in
sure.
so many ways, either intentional
Harper
marketing or viral. Yeah, viral marketing, like Where's Luke, like with Mark Hamill, like with the magazine cover, like those bastards. They
I
had
just
me.
like tried to recreate that same feeling I felt for Force Awakens. Like it's just so hard to do it. You just
It would
Yeah,
need to go
It's a
away.
one and
That's
done
the
thing.
problem.
Mhm.
It would need to take a decade or more with nothing.
Yeah.
It was also the first Christmas Star Wars, Christmas time Star Wars.
Mhm.
So like there's
Oh,
a
and
whole
it
different
fit-
vibe. to
Define
it.
Star Wars.
fit
yeah,
like a
Christmas
glove,
Star
too.
Wars is the whole vibe.
December 2015.
Yeah, go back.
Magical.
But yeah,
as
the
someone who's,
characters are
like-
so good in this movie.
Yeah, as someone who came into Star Wars, like really became a big fan in 2015. Like
Mhm.
Force Awakens holds a special place in my heart. It's not my number one, but like it might be the most special Star Wars movie to me. It's the first one I saw in theaters. Like it's the sequel trilogy is my Star Wars. I will raise my favorite character. So like it's just a perfect introduction to those characters, while also
Yeah.
a really good callback to the original trilogy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be as connected to like film in general or Star Wars in general if it wasn't for this movie. Like this made me like have a whole new like Twitter fandom and overall life
Yeah.
fandom. Because before this, I was like on Twitter liking movies and stuff, but then 2015 happened, and I was immediately like, "Whoa, Raylo is great, fantastic. I love Ben, I love Ray, I love everything about their relationship, especially in that movie." So
Yeah.
I was just all in on everything leading into The Last Jedi and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Also-
JJ gave me so much.
Yeah. Also, without The Force Awakens, there's no new wave of legacy sequels
Exactly.
that we're
Yeah.
living right now.
Mhm.
So that's another point.
And
that
it's
I
like
made.
For better or worse, honestly.
the movie
Yeah,
gets
for better or
accused
worse.
of being safe, and like I can see why people say that. They're
Who
wrong.
cares?
But I could see, first of all, yeah, like safe and bad are not the same thing. Number one,
Exactly.
and number two, it's not a rehash of New Hope. It's got
No.
broad strokes of the entire
I
original
hate that.
trilogy,
I hate
pushing
that
it
so
all
much.
forward. And then the third thing that I would say against it being safe at all, you guys were mentioning how 2015 you came in, but like for the lifers, like Nikki, imagine if I time traveled to you when you were in like middle school, and I said that one day there's going to be an episode 7, and Luke won't be in it until the last 60 seconds, and you won't even mind, like, and you will not care. That's balls, and it worked. Like that, you are so invested in Rey, Finn, and Kylo in that forest that maybe you thought, like I did, I was like, oh, Luke's gonna show up and save them in that final duel. But when I was watching it in the theater, when she catches that blade, I wasn't thinking about that, man.
Burning
My favorite
Homestead,
moment in Star
the
Wars.
soundtrack, the Burning Homestead,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so fucking good.
Mhm.
crazy.
Again, it's like the JJ point again. Like he just got it down to its essence, and like nailed it. And when the box office showed that, people went
Yeah.
nom, 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 nom
Yeah.
for that movie.
Yeah,
I
the more
still
I
feel
think
it.
about
And
this,
rightly
the more
so.
I-
Rightly
That
The
box
more I
office
think
was-
about Dan Mendel's fucking incredible
Oh,
use
yeah.
of wide shots. He fucking nails wide shots. Like
Mhm.
you can just think about the TIE Fighter Apocalypse Now type shot or the Star Destroyer
Yeah.
in the desert. It's like he plays the foreground more than any fucking blockbuster cinematographer, and it's just fuck. The movie's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's that's the one thing no one can take away from the sequels. Two things. One, they're the best looking.
The use of
and-
color. The use of color.
and color
Yeah.
is like. I mean, you
color's
think of that desert. You think of Takodana and the lush greens. You think of Crate, like,
Mhm.
and then
Or
two, they're the
Baby
best
Yoda.
acted. Like being introduced
Yeah.
to Driver. I I didn't watch
Last Jedi is
Girls.
the best acted Star Wars movie by far.
Girls is great.
I didn't watch Girls, so I didn't know Driver until this movie. Adam Driver in Force Awakens, he's incredible throughout, and I say Last Jedi is his best. But in Force Awakens, he gives a performance as Kylo Ren. He gives a performance as Kylo Ren without his helmet, where he's still putting up that front but doesn't have the advantage. And then he cracks and he's Ben for like 30 seconds, and it's a masterclass. Like,
I fell in love.
And this movie gave us Daisy Ridley, so
Yeah.
it has to be on.
John Boyega.
and it gave us Daisy
Yeah,
Ridley's
like
calves,
Yeah.
which Michael Kaplan committed to for the whole trilogy. He's like, that woman's never wearing pants that cover up
Never.
her whole leg. I don't care.
You gotta talk about Oscar Isaac and Finn.
And I mean, Oscar, who wasn't going to make it out of the first act.
I
And
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then Finn, John Boyega, Pacific Rim 2 fame, John Boyega.
Oh yeah,
Executive
exactly.
producer and
Or
star,
fucking
star
what's
of
that thing called?
Pacific Rim.
Attack
Uprising.
Attack the
of
Block.
the Block or whatever. Yeah, that one.
That's a good
really
movie.
good.
That's a great
That's
a
one.
good movie.
Mhm.
Yeah. Is that getting a sequel, right?
It
I
is.
think something's happening with it. Yeah.
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 Also, another thing about Force Awakens, going back to the box office, it gave us the timeless moment at the red carpet when Frank Marshall tried to give George a little bit of the Jurassic World, and George
Oh.
goes, "We will crush you like a bug."
George, George was not having it. It was funny, man. That red carpet gave us that. It gave us
Carrie
Carrie
Fisher drunk as
going
fuck.
nuts
Yeah.
with taking the cards from Andy and Anthony, and her and Oscar just going crazy with Billy. It was a really, really magical time. I mean, even remember Comic-Con that year when
Yeah.
JJ was like, "Oh, hey, by the way,
Oh my
let's
God.
leave.
concert.
We're gonna take you to a concert." Like,
That
Crazy.
fucking Comic-Con behind the scenes clip. That shit is
Oh.
just
it's beautiful.
fuck.
Real
It's
sets,
beautiful.
practical
I cried.
effects.
Dude, real sense practical effects is in my. It's like burned into my
It's
skull.
yeah.
Like,
Guys, 7 years. That's how long it's been.
That's
Seven-
wild.
Messed up.
man.
That's
7 years of your
wild.
life.
Yeah.
well, that's what's great about that is that Celebration 2025. They could take two.
Oh
angles.
man, that's gonna be a special one.
They can do 10 years of
JJ.
Force Awakens, and they could also do 10 years of the sequels if they wanted
Yeah,
to. Like,
I just
make it a
realized-
broad angle.
I just realized it's 10 years of Disney Star Wars this year, and no
Yeah,
one
that's crazy.
talked about that.
Mhm.
20 years of
Yeah.
clones, 10 years of the purchase, and then steadily approaching
Holy shit.
2024, 10 years of Rebels, which Nikki
Well,
and
I just
talked
thought about that right now.
Woo!
That's wild.
Jesus fucking
10 years of Rebels is like, I'm going to
That's
show up to that
crazy.
panel with a cane. I'm gonna be-
We're day one Rebels fans over here.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. We'll get to
Now
it.
I genuinely feel old. Holy shit.
Yeah. That's crazy.
We are old.
All right.
What's next? Are we at 6 still?
Let's
Five?
move on.
Edgar just putting the nail in the coffin there.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty fucking
Alright.
crazy.
Okay, number 6, we have The Clone Wars.
What
There
the?
we go.
Whoa, it's lower than I thought. Wait,
No
The movie,
fucking way.
right?
Okay,
The
this
movie?
pisses me
Yes,
off.
the
This
movie.
actually
Aw,
angers
the
me.
show?
This angers me a lot.
Oh
This
shit!
is my
no,
first
I'm
one.
right.
Okay.
Okay, there we
Let's see
go.
here where I had Clone Wars.
There we go.
Ooh.
Clone Wars.
I had
Thumbs
Clone Wars
down.
at 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this was a little bit higher for me.
You know, I'm
I
gonna.
have
I'm
Clone
gonna
Wars at 2.
I actually
I
did
got it
not
for it.
have it in my top 10,
Wow.
I didn't either.
so I'm responsible for it being lower.
Wow.
Wait, Josh said you didn't either?
No, mine.
I
is-
didn't.
at
I
number
didn't have
7.
Oh,
Nikki, but I respect it, and I do love it, and I'm rewatching it now, and I
Oh shit!
I
We have
like it
Ahsoka
more.
Tano.
Dang.
What the
So,
heck?
Ahsoka, drop a scoop about your show.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, Anakin, Sky Guy in there.
Snips.
What's the first
Um,
scene you filmed?
Came at the best time too.
This is a show I grew up with. Like I've watched this day one, Cartoon Network, Friday night with my
Same.
dad, and my brother. Watched
Every
it.
Friday night.
Yeah.
Every single Friday night.
And
My
it was-
sister, my dad,
Yeah.
in the fucking living room eating chicken nuggets every
Right?
fucking day. Cartoon Network.
Eating that lean cuisine.
Sean drunk on chicken nuggets.
No, yeah, like this actually genuinely, it doesn't upset me. It's just I'm more curious than anything. Like why
It's
exactly
on the
Alden?
list,
Because
though.
I
Like all the Nick.
yeah, true.
Uh-huh.
But Clone Wars to me is like it's not just my childhood. It's essentially it's my Star Wars for sure. More than anything, the prequels, the original trilogy, Clone Wars is 100% my Star Wars. Always has been. I'm curious why you guys don't have it at top 5 at least. Honestly,
God,
I want
sorry.
answers.
Because we all live different experiences, Sean.
Fuck you. Thank you for that.
Hitting you with the politician answer.
I have nothing bad to
We're
say
sorry,
about.
Ahsoka. We're
I have
sorry.
nothing bad to say about this show. Like
I have
honestly,
nothing bad to say about it either.
Like,
it's just
it just gets pushed
entirely,
down. Like somebody
This
has
is a
to sit
preference
somewhere.
wise.
It's
Um,
entirely a matter of other things. Now again, I'm in the middle of a chronological rewatch. I'm having the best time with it that I've ever
I
had.
am too. Yeah.
But in my life, like in going back to 08 in that original run, but even before Lost episodes,
Mhm.
I didn't connect with Troopers and Clones. I've never been a Troopers guy.
Mm.
So I would sort of be like, when am I getting to Ahsoka or Anakin? Like that's how I was
Yeah.
in its Cartoon Network run. So I think that if I had, like, there are kids out there that, you know, they're like, oh, I love, you know, Delta and Squad and everything.
Akara,
And
look
like,
at my
Sean-
username, by the way.
yeah,
He's not
exactly.
even in
I
it.
still know who the fuck that is.
But I do like clones. a
So, yeah,
lot.
so it's like if I had that, then, you know, that changes everything. Now, meanwhile, they have that Tales of the Jedi thing coming up. That's
Yeah,
where I'll
that's
be
pretty interesting.
freaking out about that. And that's why I think Visions got on my list and maybe Clone Wars didn't, is because Visions is almost entirely force based,
Me too. Yeah.
at least in some capacity. So
You didn't care about like clones that much, even like with Domino Squad or Arc Troopers, those episodes.
That was the best Clones
did I
arc,
say
for sure.
Delta? I meant Domino, but also Delta. Yeah,
Navarro.
I didn't care about them that much back then, outside of maybe Rex and Cody. But
Mhm.
now that I'm like when I recently rewatched The Death of Heavy, and now as an adult, I was like, ah, damn, like it's, you know, the guts
fucking-
on them. So it's really good.
Yeah.
What was your guys' like reaction when you first saw it and all the introduction of like the Night Sisters, the magic, and all this
Oh,
fucking
man.
weird Mortis shit,
Oh.
and just
Oh,
how
loved it.
fucking different
I
it
remember,
all is?
yeah, seeing Maul in the commercials, like, oh yeah, the previous or the next episode, you see Maul in the previews, and you start going crazy because you never thought that would possible. But I love those episodes. Maul coming in, Savage Opress,
Mhm.
one of the goofiest names in all of Star Wars. I love that arc so much, and the Clone Wars for me was just so special. Seeing Ahsoka grow up. Like, I didn't really connect with the troopers all that much, but I loved their arcs. Like, I couldn't tell you in 08 like what their names were or anything, but I like seeing those episodes.
The
Like,
Umbara arc is so good.
yeah, the Umbara arc,
Yeah.
like, regardless of not knowing their names, the decisions they had to make, the dilemmas they were in, fantastic, unforgettable episodes. Yeah.
That shit hits so
Clone Wars,
different.
Clone Wars for me is just like I watched it for the first time in 2020. I didn't grow up with it.
Crazy.
So that was the pandemic
That's
watch
wild.
for me.
Over a decade afterwards.
I know it's crazy.
He was at the right age to watch it too. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Who saw the movie in
Perfect
theaters?
age. I did.
I did.
Good times.
Loved it.
Mhm.
My only problem was, I was 16 when this came out, and for anybody who has not realized it yet, or if you're not there yet, you're an idiot when you're 16. You think you know
I
everything.
was 7.
You think you know
Oh my
what's good.
God.
I
You
was
think
8.
you think you're so smart when you're 16. You're not. And I was like a little bit of one of those, like, gonna hold my nose at this childish thing.
Yeah.
But then when season 1 happened, I kind of forgot season 1 was happening, and then I caught it like halfway through, and then I was like, oh, damn, this is good. It's like actually cool. They're doing like cool battles, and I think the first episode I watched was the one where they go to the like
Did the movie come out
Pantoran moon.
before or after?
Lair of
like,
Grievous?
this
No.
Movie
Oh,
first.
Movie was first.
Pantora.
movie first?
Pantora.
Movie was
so
first.
George
It was the one where they
Lucas,
do the one with like the towels, or they're like trying to negotiate with them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like the snow battle with the speeder bikes and
Yeah.
shit. I was
Dude,
like, damn, this
that
shit goes hard.
is so fucking
Um,
good.
And then it just kept growing up and growing up and going further and further. And the animation was getting crazier
Yeah.
and crazier. The arcs were getting
It was
deeper.
that first thing for me that I grew up with. Literally, like I went from 8 to fucking 14 with that shit.
Yeah.
So big portion of my life is dedicated to just watching that.
The thing
think
with
that
Clone
was
Wars
12.
for me is that like So the highs of Clone Wars are some of the best highs in Star Wars. Like Siege of Mandalore is one of my favorite things in Star Wars. The Ahsoka
Yeah, I mean,
arc
like
in
season
5.
7 is a masterpiece. Like season
Yeah.
7 in and of
Yeah.
itself. If people that were like the Trace and Rafa arc isn't good, they're
I love that
wrong and they're dumb.
We had a
Um,
great time reacting to that arc live. Like that arc was so much fun.
It's so
Yeah.
key. It's
I mean,
so
all of
essential.
season 7 is is Dave Filoni's magnum opus. It's his biggest creation. It's his most.
I think Siege of
prized
Mandalore
and-
is just like the
Yeah,
way
I think it's- yeah, it's like-
specifically Siege of
Yeah, definitely
Mandalore.
Siege,
Yes.
yeah.
It's him sort of coming
But-
full circle. Like no one,
Yeah.
very rarely do people get to go back and make things, especially when they cost that much, especially when they take that much time. It's
Yeah.
not like live action. You can't just run and shoot it, you know. So it's
Yeah.
for him
And
to
he-
return and
He learned so much from Rebels
Mhm.
and reapplying that knowledge back into the Clone
Yeah.
Wars mindset and what they
Yeah,
were
I
able
mean,
to
it's
do with
just-
animation that they've since
And-
continued with Batch.
And
is
just the obvious
insane.
stuff, how it improves upon the prequels. Obviously, how it makes Hayden and Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship so much more
Mhm.
meaningful. Obviously, right? Just
It's
basic
so
stuff.
strong. I mean,
Yeah.
And the way that if people have ever thought, I wish I had more Padme in the prequels, you come here. I wish I
Yeah.
had more Jar Jar, you come
Senate-
here. I
The
wish
Senate episodes were
yeah.
so good.
the Senate episodes were always
in
great.
season
Even
5.
like the hundreds of small characters from people like Cham Syndulla to Rush Clovis to Amagundi to the King of Toydaria
The young
to
ladies that
Leechar.
Josh
Like,
loves so much.
They made
Go.
they made Spice Noodles a girl boss.
Girl boss.
We
Yeah.
have to love it.
yeah,
That's
like,
not a lot.
the other thing,
Zero.
yeah.
So
You can.
it just
like,
keeps going.
Cad
It's
Bane.
like the stuff. It's same with
Bad
Mandalorian.
Bane, the best bounty hunter ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They essentially take each individual episode, if it's not an arc per se, and they make its own thing, right? Like
Mhm.
this Padme
Mhm.
stuff is a political thing, or this is specifically a heist thing, like the Cad Bane episodes, right? And then they have the box episodes, like everything
love
can be, and then the
Ballard.
Umbar is a war, right? And
Right.
it's
Obi-Wan
also individual, and they're able to
Obi-Wan
not be
Undercover,
inspired
yeah.
by the original trilogy, but be inspired by stuff that inspired the original trilogy, just like Mandalorian, right?
And
That's
it does
my
some of
favorite
the
Star Wars.
headiest and weirdest, like Mortis is the obvious one, but also
Mhm.
things like my favorite
Yoda
arc is Yoda's walkabout. Yeah,
Yeah.
the final Yoda arc in season
Mhm.
6 is
Yeah.
like
A Sunny
it's
Day in the Void.
all ideas based. Yeah, Sunny Day in the
Yeah.
Void, yeah, even though it's not force based, is entirely just ideas and then
Yeah.
deal with it. And if you didn't learn anything, watch it again. Like
Without
it's
that weird shit, that weird ass shit, like you wouldn't have had the wolves and rebels and all this weird stuff. That's by far my favorite part of Star Wars. Just when it
I
gets
think the
weird as
reason-
fuck.
Mhm.
The reason why it's a bit lower in my list is because there's so many episodes that not all of them hit, and so as a whole, I wouldn't prefer it over like Rebels or some of the movies.
I
or-
completely agree with that. Actually,
Rebels is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
consistent masterpiece.
it's
Exactly.
We'll get
Rebels
there
from a
for
story
sure.
perspective is objectively
get there.
better.
Rebels is
for
an
sure.
honorable mention.
That's what's so great about Clone Wars too. I
Imagine.
I'll stab myself.
No, no,
love how
no.
things aren't. They're allowed to not hit in Clone Wars too, where it's like
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
one
it's
your one
fine, yeah.
episode, you go from oh shit,
That episode
somebody,
is a great note.
Accidentally introduced him.
that is a good one. The one where it goes from oh shit, they're poisoning the kid's Snapple to
Mhm.
like Ponkrell slicing up clones. Like it varies so far, and I think
Yeah.
that's a real like fun thing. And
I
even
mean,
to
like
this
you
day-
even like from the beginning they had that tone, right? Like Nikki, you and I both just watched a lot of season 1. Just like coincidentally, we were both sort of in that. And you go from like your first big high stakes arc, the Malevolence, and then right after the Malevolence is Bombad General, or it's just like
Oh, God.
I'm gonna run around with a cloak, and they're
Yeah.
gonna think I'm a Jedi. I'm bouncing like.
Yeah. And
such different tone.
it's cool how much Clone Wars being a pre-Disney project, so much of what we're seeing now in Disney era was kind of test run or introduced in Clone Wars, and it just goes to show these things matter to each other. It's the point Alden talked about with
He
Solo.
gave us
like
Kevin Kiner.
pay attention, folks.
Kevin
These
Kiner,
things
great point.
matter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, still paying dividends. I mean, the fact that we have an Emmy award winning, well, Book of Boba Fett's technically its own show, but Book of Boba Fett and Mando being this Emmy award winning revolutionary project, and you have a fully practical Cad Bane, where now like your moms and dads will know who Cad Bane
Yeah.
is. It's just the craziest thing. So,
The Blue Bounty Hunter.
yeah.
Probably what they would
The
call
blue
it,
guy.
but yeah. Are we
What's
ready
next?
to move on?
Are we on the top 5 now?
Top
Top
five.
five.
Number
Top
five.
five. Number five.
Rebels is Rebels. I just know.
No way. No way.
It's gotta be
not.
higher.
It's got to be higher.
It
Rebels.
better be
what-
higher.
We haven't done this before. What do you think? Is it?
Oh, this is a new. This is an original trilogy, so I'm assuming
I think it's gonna
Return
be.
of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi here.
I'm gonna go with Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Revenge of the
maybe-
Sith.
I feel like people are ranking that high.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're missing.
Is Rogue One not even on here? Oh,
God, I hope not.
I don't
Probably
know.
isn't.
Definitely not on here. Now with this cast of people. So yeah, it's either Revenge or
Rogue One
Return of
was
the
6
Jedi.
for me. Rogue One was 6 for me, so it's definitely not on here.
I'm sure it was. So it's, yeah,
I feel like this will be a prequel. I don't know which one, but
All right, go
I
ahead.
think we're
Do
only
it.
getting one prequel here in the top 5.
Do it.
A New Hope.
Oh!
Whoa!
Let me just say,
Whoa!
thank God this is on the list.
Right.
Thank fucking
It
Yeah.
God.
has to be. It
I
has to
fucking
be.
love New Hope.
Thank
It's
you.
my number
We are,
three. It's my
we are
number
potting
three.
with sane people. So
If Return of the Jedi,
thank you guys.
if Return of the
New
Jedi
Hope
is
is
next,
masterpiece. It's the foundation for Star Wars. It's a foundation for modern blockbusters. Honestly, it's foundation for filmmaking as it is right now. It's
Yep.
I think it's a masterpiece. I
it's
love
got
it.
everything. I mean, it is everything. It's one of the greatest gambles of all time, possibly the greatest indie film ever made.
Yeah,
The
honestly.
first and only one that's indie, and it's when people say like that Star Wars movie had too much Marvel humor. No, it's Star Wars humor. Watch this
Yeah.
movie. Like this movie
The clip and stuff.
did so much of what we have now. The third act, like,
Well, then
we think in these terms now. Like when a character comes back to help, we're like, oh, it's kind of like Han. Like we think this way because of this movie. And one thing that I talk about a lot with Obi-Wan being on the brain is that Alec Guinness gives a performance, and he couldn't have known it because who
Mhm.
knew? But he gives a performance with those pauses that he was doing the kind of stuff in '76 when they shot it that they tell actors to do now. Now they'll say, oh, well, there's going to be a Disney Plus show about this character, so we're going to allude to it here. We're going to do a little pause here. We're going to do a hint. Alec
Mhm.
Guinness just with some pauses, like, how did my father die? And then Obi-Wan sort of with that little lean. Like nowadays would be like 10 reasons why Obi-Wan might have leaned.
Yeah.
And
That,
like,
That-
And it's just
that-
like hearing those things, you know? Like what the
that's
hell
one
is
of
a
my
Clone
favorite
Wars?
memes. One of
yeah.
my favorite memes is when he's like, "You fought in the Clone Wars," and everyone sits back. He's like, "Yeah, I fought this 4-armed robot guy like 10 times. Shit was lit."
Yeah, I love any insert of, yeah, and he was a cunning warrior. And like every time, like a great pilot, they show Anakin like crashing. A cunning warrior, show Anakin getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a great friend, and then you show Mustafar.
Yikes!
Every
but-
single piece of Star Wars media and product is based upon this movie. So
Of course.
Yeah,
every
just say
single
that.
piece of
Yeah.
like, modern filmmaking.
Modern
honestly.
blockbusters. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just the way I always think about it is if the world was ending and we had to evacuate and we can only save one Star Wars thing, it has to be this.
yeah,
Like
obviously.
it's just there's no other answer. And yeah, like when people like devalue this movie, like I just do not fucking
Yeah.
get it.
It's
Like,
boring.
yeah.
Like,
Sequel
I
trilogy
don't
based
get
off
it.
this. Sequel
It's so
trilogy based off
good.
this. Rebels, Clone Wars
Yeah.
based off this. Rogue
Yeah.
One based off this.
I think
Everything
it's.
ever.
I think maybe a little bit of controversial opinion. I think it's John Williams' best score too. Is New Hope.
The
I think
throne room
Princess
theme
Leia's
is
theme
the
is his
best.
Wow.
greatest theme.
The throne room
Princess
theme is my
Leia's
favorite
theme,
theme
good.
of all.
The robot auction theme is amazing.
Throne
Yeah.
room theme is my best. Is my favorite score
battle
sound
theme.
of music ever in the history of music. So
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the ending is one of the best structured endings of all time, and how it
Yeah.
takes like 5 or 6 different storylines and literally brings them together into the most narrow trench you can think of,
Mhm.
and just
Mhm.
streamlines it and then blows them all up at the end. Like it's
It's like-
so good. It's just
It's also
genius.
just who amongst us like didn't learn about myths because of this, didn't learn about your classic archetypal arcs, and just like Nikki said, like if we could save one, but also if we were completely okay and I had to send one, they were like fire a film into space because someone's gonna, a ship is gonna pick it up and like explain your culture, explain what you do.
Give the aliens art.
I'd be like, this
all
might
cultures
be like,
wrapped up in one film.
yeah, like
Yeah.
this is every great story ever told. It's all of the battles against fascism. It's Arthurian legend. it's Eastern legends and
Hinduism.
samurai culture, it's Hinduism, it's a Western. I mean, Luke coming back to the Lars homestead after they've been burned alive is the Searchers, like almost shot for shot.
Yeah.
It's like it's everything that we've got. And so when people nowadays say things like, "Oh, it's regurgitating," I'm just like, there's nothing wrong with homage. It's about context. It's about how
And
it's
to
done.
think that all of this would have been complete shit. That movie would have been dog water if it wasn't for the fucking editing and the best editing.
Marshall
and-
Lucas.
Yeah,
is the
Marshall
key.
Lucas.
The
Because
goat.
like the movie works so well because of the editing, the sound mixing, etc. But all of it was originally pretty bad, right?
Hot Mess
Mhm.
Express.
Saved in editing.
Yeah.
I mean, they say like when he showed it to Spielberg and Scorsese and De Palma and all them, like, and everybody sort of had. I mean, Williams obviously being the biggest thing, but everybody with their suggestions, with their feedback. De Palma writing The Crawl, like it's just this moment that everything sort of had to be, and people talk about it now, like this moment in culture and time, like this confluence of factors that all had to be. And if things didn't all line up exactly the way that they did, things are different,
Josh,
And
you
it's
watched that
still-
Empire Dreams documentary, and I'm assuming you're.
I need to watch
you're
it
this
still,
movie.
yeah.
You haven't seen it yet?
Oh, Empire of
Yeah.
Dreams
Wait
is
until
on
after-
this.
You have to watch
after
that New Hope
Incredible.
documentary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
it
This
still holds up too. Like surprisingly,
it still
It's
holds
still, every
up.
time I go about to watch it, it's still
Well, yeah,
so
I mean,
good.
it's like
Yeah.
if nothing else Star Wars ever got made, Star Wars would still be one of the biggest things to ever happen with this
Yeah,
movie. Like
for
it's
sure.
it's like iconic is not a good enough word for it. I don't
was
know if
one
one
of the-
exists. It's just
Yeah,
it's
it was
it's
one of the
pure
first
magic.
like sensations in the film industry.
Yeah.
It's probably like you have to
It-
ask at that time in the 70s, you
Gone
have
with
to
the
ask
Wind and Star Wars.
you have to ask your audience in the 70s, if you're showing a movie to the 70s audience, to suspend their disbelief. And, like, this is a spaceship. It looks fake as fuck, but just believe that it's real. But then the first fucking 2 minutes of the movie, you see like a fucking Star Destroyer going over your head. It looks so real and so practical. Probably the greatest opening shot because it just says in one sentence, right? Like, this is the rebels. They're tiny, insignificant. This is the Empire. Overwhelming.
Yeah.
And just they control the entire
Yeah.
galaxy. It's so brilliant.
That opening is like truly magnificent.
Yeah.
On
And they
so
didn't
many
have to
levels.
like suspend their disbelief. They really felt like those are real spaceships and the most revolutionary technology of all time.
Yeah.
And just like every single choice that we take for granted now in terms of character, like even like of course Luke, Han, and Leia, I mean, it cannot be overstated. Like we think in trios now, right?
Mhm.
Like Harry, Ron, Hermione, like that doesn't happen if that was not a thing in just in humanity and culture. But
Power
even
three.
small things even small things though, like the idea of like showing it to my nephew. I showed it to him for the first time when he was 5. He's now 11. And when he was 5, watching him watch R2 and 3PO walk through the Jundland wastes of Tatooine, it was like he'd never witnessed something that slow before. Like it trusts you so much to just buy that this golden guy and this garbage can are heroes.
Best
you
way
know?
to open the movie too, with them just arguing about the galaxy. You're like, what the fuck is the Force? What is this? What is this Rebel Alliance we're talking about? What the hell is this shit? You're just begging for more information, and they feed you throughout the whole movie of what the whole galaxy is, the whole history.
Which is so exciting to us, but like I showed this movie to a lot of my current friends who haven't seen Star Wars, and they can't stand this movie. They think it's so boring or it's too slow and stuff. But this is
There's a
think
think their brains so big.
Get a new set of friends, my friend.
Oh man! Oh, thank you. But yeah, like the Marvel movies better. But no, this movie for me is unbelievably perfect. Yeah, one of the best openings ever. One of the best endings ever. People talk about the Rogue One ending, but for me, this is better than the Rogue One ending. Like, this is-
Did you guys know?
Battle
Did you guys
Yavin
know
is
that,
one of my favorite sequences in
Yeah.
films.
Speaking of Battle of Yavin, did you guys know that in the original cut, that before the editors came in, Marshall Lucas, etc., that the Death Star was never fought on Yavin 4. It was only edited to make it seem in post that the Death Star was in range of the planet. So it was just the rebels going to attack the Death Star. There was no threat that the Death Star was going to blow up their planet. And then they edited
Oh.
that, obviously, so Yavin would be in the picture.
I guess that makes
changes
sense, yeah,
the
because you
last-
only
it's the
need
last
you
decision.
only need the graphics shots of the
Mhm.
Yeah.
readout.
And it
the data
changes
readouts.
everything. Like
It changes
makes
everything.
so tense, and that music.
It makes it against the clock, and like I said, like this is not my favorite Star Wars movie. It's not even my favorite of the original trilogy, but it is I think the holder of the ultimate movie magic moment ever committed to film. It's either what I'm about to say or the last 10 minutes of the chase to the end of ET. But I really think it's this one. When from I Have You Now to let's below this thing and go home. Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million. That's movie magic. If someone asked me why movies, I would just put on that clip of Han with the Yahoo! Like,
Look,
if you don't feel something,
happened, yeah,
yeah.
if that happened, we'd have the same like shared videos of people reacting to Cap getting the hammer. Like,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
that
that-
would
Yeah.
be like if you put that now, we'd have those reactions.
And there is that
Right.
one recording, which is awesome to listen to.
Yeah.
There is
there's that one
a
recording.
this from 77. It's so
Mhm.
wholesome, and that was probably a first for all those people to burst out with like glee like that and clap. Like,
Yeah.
when are
If
you
there's
doing
one
that?
movie you'd go back in time to watch, it'd probably be this one because this is the first time anyone's ever experiencing Star Wars. you
For
know?
me, it's I mean, but there's good arguments for all three, right? Because it's this
Yeah.
first time.
Empire.
There's I Am Your Father, but then there's also people have been waiting 3 years for the end, you know, and so I could hit up any of them and be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
I think another.
Also, you don't have to.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say another cool thing about A New Hope, at least or parts of it, at least because I know not everything is super well looked upon. But in terms of the special edition, which is kind of like a bingo sheet of boring nerd like complaints, the Battle of Yavin special edition works like really seamlessly. The way
Yeah.
Mhm.
the CGI shots works with the classic practical ones.
Mhm.
I always think that is a really sort of underrated facet of
Yeah.
special edition New Hope, because I think while it has that, it also has one of the most useless scenes in
Jabba
Star Wars with
scene.
Jabba. Yeah,
They're all going up and
And-
down.
And the rock in front of R2.
yeah, The Rock. But
That rock is my one thing in this movie.
but yeah, the Battle of Yavin in particular is a really cool example of special
Yeah.
edition working.
Yeah.
The Jabba scene is just comedy. It's like, oh my god, Han skipping over a CGI Jabba.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Jabba,
It's also
you're a
like
wonderful
New Hope
human
is
being.
also, I think, like, dare I say, the most influential movie of all time. Like, so many
Yeah.
of the modern
That's-
filmmakers,
Yeah, that's what they're
Yeah,
trying to
the
capture.
biggest ones, their influence is Star Wars.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's next?
Okay, so number
Ooh,
4. What do you guys think?
Number 4.
Is it? Are we getting prequels? Is it? Do you guys have Revenge of
I
the
don't think
Sith over A
prequels
New
are going
Hope?
up here, honestly. No.
If Revenge is over A New Hope, that'll be my first. This is
God.
stupid.
Why?
moment.
We're
Wait.
smarter than this.
Right.
I'm gonna say you guys put Last Jedi at number.
Right now, we're missing Last Jedi,
Return of the
Return,
Jedi.
Empire. That's 3 right there.
And Rebels.
And
We
Rebels.
need a
That's
we
4.
need a
That's
prequel
4.
in here.
Rebels,
We
I
need a
think Rebels
prequel,
is
guys.
next.
I don't think we're
Look,
getting the prequel.
I put on the hat just for this episode. Let's get my baby in there. The best
Rebels is
prequel.
next.
Tag of the
I
Clones.
think
Rebels is
Rebels
not
is gonna be
next.
top 2, honestly.
Yeah, I think.
I think Rebels
Knowing
and
it-
Last
just looking at
Jedi.
all
I
your
love
faces.
knowing all this and hear you guys talk about
right
this.
now, I'm predicting Return of the Jedi, then Empire, then Rebels, then Last Jedi. So Return of
Last
the
Jedi
is
at
next.
1.
So that would mean no
At
prequel.
1.
No I think no prequels. I think we ran the gamut past
I'd be-
prequels.
I'd
Did
be
you
really
guys all put
surprised
Last
if
Jedi at
no.
1? I think you
I
guys
mean,
did.
I didn't.
We'll see what
I
happens.
did not. No,
We'll see what happens. It should be, but we'll see what happens.
I put it at 2.
Yeah, it's Return of the Jedi's here. Scroll up. I'm right. I'm right.
Number 4.
Come on. What
All
we
right.
got?
Hey!
Hey!
Okay.
There we go.
All right. All right. That's fine.
My favorite piece of art of all time.
So, how many people had Return over A New Hope? Because I have A New Hope above.
This
I
is-
didn't
this
have
is my
Return of the
number
Jedi
one.
there.
Oh,
this is my
interesting.
number-
Yeah, this was Nikki's, like, it was your number 1, so this is
Great.
why it's so high.
This is my. I feel like Return of the Jedi and Last Jedi are 1A, 1B for me right now. If you look at my letterbox, the one slot changes between the two of them, depending on the day. But
Yeah.
this
So-
to me is a perfect.
Return of the Jedi
perfect
is
movie.
number 9 for me.
Whoa!
It's not on my top 10.
We can't all have culture,
Wow.
but
Y'all can't have culture. Oh man, number 9. It's a choice.
Is-
Yeah.
It's number 1 for Nikki and who else?
Alden?
It was-
Or 1B. He said.
it's
Oh,
well
okay.
yeah, on this list because of TV, things
Oh,
are a little
3,
different for me.
yeah.
But
Right.
because Rebels is,
Mhm.
we'll talk about it. But Rebels is my number
The way
one.
things are going, no.
I don't think so,
I'm not
fam.
gonna
Yeah.
Be not
yeah.
convinced.
That would be the biggest surprise of all time.
Ross, that number 1.
That would make it all
Lopez.
worth it.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is perfect. Jabba's
Mhm.
Palace is a perfect short film inside of a film. It's just got it all. I mean, the debut of Ian McDiarmid. Ewoks are great, and if you don't think so, you're wrong.
Ewoks are the best part of the movie.
They're amazing.
okay.
They're perfectly in line with the themes of Star Wars. Like they need to be there, and it's
Green
better that they're
lightsabers.
small. The green lightsaber is the best. It doesn't even bother me that the Drew Struzan special edition poster is clearly Empire Luke, because that's how powerful
Such a good poster.
the iconography is of the Chewie Jabba Yoda special edition posters burned into my mind. Endor Leia, best Leia. The Battle of Endor, the best battle in Star Wars.
I still prefer the Yavin battle. That's probably mine.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I'll
that
give you
one's fair.
that. Anyone that says Scarif though is wrong.
I love Scarif.
I couldn't.
No,
care.
honestly,
Scarif is
like,
my favorite battle.
I'm sitting here, 40 years of technological advancements. Shit still does not look as good as Battle of Endor. Like, there are shots in the Battle of Endor that just continuously blow my
It's
mind.
wild. It's just
Yeah.
the miniatures and like
Yeah,
the
and the
tactical
storytelling. Like, I want to hug Billy D. Williams just in general, but specifically for his delivery of, well, how could they be jamming us if they don't know that we're coming? Like that moment as a kid, you're like,
shit.
like
Oh,
you're
shit.
immediately like, yeah.
That Into the Trap is such a good track. I love it.
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, it makes
I
me
love how
wanna-
much they use it in
It
Rebels.
makes me want to
too.
watch it right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's so electric, and it's
You have a Jedi's Fury in this movie. That's my
Mhm.
favorite thing about it.
So I love Return of the Jedi. I love most of these movies, but it's just a preference thing. Like I like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff
Look,
more
it-
than this, but that's fine. I
It's
still love it.
all about, again, like, it's everybody has a different thing. And I don't know if you guys watch the Grammys, because the Grammys are kind of weird, but
Never heard of
but John Batiste, he in his acceptance speech said this thing that I think
He's
is
the soul composer, right? The
he
who
did
does
Soul.
the
He
jazz
did his,
stuff.
his own album, which he won for.
He's
He
Colbert's
also is
band
the
leader.
band, yeah, Colbert's band.
Mhm.
But he
Mhm.
said this thing about how art is this personal thing, and it's not about best, it's not about all this, it's about art having a radar to find the person who needs it there.
Oh,
And I
love
think that's why these lists are so different. And it's not a thing of like, oh well, I don't value this. It's just this got me when I needed it. And I think
Yeah.
that's why I don't think I'll
Beautifully said.
ever shake Return of the Jedi. Like they could drop the greatest film of all time. I don't think anything will take Return of the Jedi away, because it is
special to you.
it is, first of all, the first Star Wars movie I ever watched. So it's that. It's my favorite. It's my mom's favorite. It's
I'm
just
shifting
got-
it back to my number one right now.
There we go.
On Letterboxd, they just flopped again.
It's got, I think, the greatest. And we were talking about people chasing A New Hope. I think the way Luke's story completes, in the sense of finding the option nobody's giving you. So like you have the Jedi saying, well, you're not gonna be a Jedi if you don't kill this guy, and you have the Emperor saying, strike your father down, and he finds the third option that nobody gave. He gave he believed in love, and he gave it, and that's like the perfect heroic ending. And that's, I think, something people are chasing forever. I think one movie I think of is Looper. I think the end of Looper felt very Return of the Jedi, and finding that solution when it feels like there's no other option. And I think that is just
I want to watch
perfect
Looper
storytelling.
now.
It's perfect storytelling, and
A character being so confident in himself at the very end, just kills. Just him saying, "I am a Jedi."
yeah, and again,
declaring
it's like
that.
perfect fantasy. You failed, Your Highness. Like it's
Oh, man.
it's so powerful.
Oh,
and
I mean the quotability, right, of that entire everything is an iconic fantasy line. The "you like your father are now mine." Like it's just
Yeah.
like,
Ian McDermott is laying the law down.
and he was in his
It's-
30s. Like that's
Perfect.
he's so
That's
good.
insane to me. 30.
It's still the best Palpatine. Like,
It
and
is.
there's so
Yeah.
many great versions of Palpatine. I mean, Revenge of the Sith is fantastic. Rise of Skywalker is fantastic.
And
But they all come from this performance. Like this
Mhm.
is the root. And
does
like
everybody
yeah.
have a favorite Palpatine line from this movie?
I'm afraid the Death Star will be fully operational when your friends
Operational.
arrive.
mine is the reply to my other favorite line, which is "So be it, Jedi." Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, it's like that moment is the greatest Star Wars moment for me. It's everything this story is
Yeah,
about to
I'm
me.
torn.
It's so good.
I'm torn
The Jedi's
between
fury.
the what do you call it? You would pay the price for your lack of vision.
Yeah.
That, but really, I think it's young Fu. Only now at the end do you understand. It's because
And then-
he has a Palpatine voice, but he has a mocking Palpatine voice,
Yeah.
which is much more like he.
It's the thing Sam Witwer always says. The thing Sam Witwer always says is when you play Palpatine, you have to be having the time of your life.
Yeah.
Because he's always in these moments. I mean, it's what's so great about Revenge of the Sith. He has lived his whole life for that day.
And Tross even.
And
like,
he-
he's
yeah, and-
so
and
good,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
and
it's just
Tross,
like-
he's like, this is my comeback story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Tr-
amazing.
The Rise of Skywalker, which is not on this list, and you know we'll talk about it. But that is Palpatine's like he's from his point of view, he's the protagonist, and everything's finally going right again. Like it's
Yeah.
everything is coming together. But your favorite line, Josh, has that glee of the
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm afraid it will be fully but like he's
Yeah.
such a and like to
He's
introduce
shitty.
that in the 80s, like Vader is this monstrous force of always forward momentum, like a Michael Myers type thing. And then it's like, oh, who's his boss? This guy with no armor, no lightsaber, just wearing a magic wizard cloak, and he's got a cane, and he just talks a lot of shit. But he's so terrifying.
And that's another thing because, and in so doing, Return of the Jedi takes the most feared villain of the decade and makes him sympathetic.
Mhm.
It makes him vulnerable, and it's like it's one of the weirdest. Again, like the original trilogy is just so many wild swings. I mean, just imagine taking again like this iconic villain and saying, actually, he's soft.
It invented
And-
that.
I mean,
He's
the
Nowadays,
title,
yeah.
the title
people do it all
refers
the time.
the title refers to him. So
Yeah.
And it's like I think so much of what people think that Empire Strikes Back does for Darth Vader is actually done in Return of the Jedi.
Mhm.
I think that is really the movie that makes it to me makes the character. And again, the sacrifice to save Luke, it's just perfect. It like all of it is perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still
Alright,
one of my
I'm
favorite
logging off now.
duels.
We got to.
It's still one of my favorite duels ever. Probably is
Yeah.
like the best duel. The mixture of like
The pacing of the
discussion,
duels is so
the
good.
morality
It's my favorite.
in
Yeah.
that duel.
again,
the way
the
it's
Jedi's
shot.
Fury is so perfect. I can't get over how.
Oh, that
how
score is
perfect it
unbelievable.
The shot where the chorus kicks in and you're behind the stairs and,
Yeah.
and it's
And
moving.
It's,
Oh,
tracking shot.
Peak Star Wars.
Dolly.
Peak Star
Yeah.
Wars.
It's like
Yeah.
just
the way
pack it
the
up.
camera, the way the camera's slightly shaking, just like
Mhm.
have you kind of feel like
And I
you're
think-
striking the blade.
And I think this is Hamill's best performance of the original trilogy is in this
Mhm.
film.
Oh
too.
yeah. Yeah.
Between this and Empire
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Specifically with Empire, just interacting with Yoda.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
considering that it is also a part of Return of the Jedi, yeah.
What he does
definitely.
here at the end, when he's dragging his father, everybody else is running away. Oh my god, that's a tear-worthy moment.
Also,
It's-
I'll say probably one of my favorite Yoda moments in Return of the Jedi, in that he literally tries to die faster than tell Luke the truth.
So relatable.
Oh shit! He was asking the
Goodbye.
questions now.
I gotta solve.
Just
I gotta
like
talk about
me.
something I want to talk about. I'd rather
Just
die.
like me.
I'd rather die than face my problems.
So tired.
I also love their little interactions, like even before the, your father, he is like, he's still like needling him, but you could tell he's sick, and the way that Luke's like, I'm sorry, like about the rushing off a year prior, everything with Obi-Wan, even in his one scene, I mean, everything is perfect, and even the stuff that's not as mythic, like Han leading who we now know are the Pathfinders on Endor. It's like people say that Harrison is like not good in this movie. I don't think that's true. He's a blast. Like, this is peak goofy Han.
If
this
that's
is peak
phoning
fun
it in,
Han.
phone it in all the time.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, why do people always say that? I never.
I don't get it. Like,
I don't
He's
think
so
Han's
good.
arc is as strong as A New Hope or Empire here, but like you guys said, I like his goofiness here. When he's talking with Leia, and Leia tells him like, "I love somebody else." This is expressions like,
Yeah.
it's the best.
Yeah.
And,
It's like,
yeah,
he's
he
my
had
brother,
nothing to
yeah.
do, like-
Yeah,
he's
it's-
fantastic. I mean, and also like, yeah, Han's arc sort of the meat of it is New Hope Empire, but the button here of him being ready to lead this, it's like for Leia, it's like my man is finally in. Like, no more bullshit anymore. No more 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, he's gonna go down there and possibly die for the cause that
Yeah.
I've been about since I was a little kid, and he now is finally like with me. Like, I think they can finally be a couple because he
Yeah.
finally becomes like a fully realized person. General
Yeah,
Solo.
people just
is-
saying that he has nothing to do in this movie. Fuck off.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
The way we said Solo is very sexy movie.
Yeah.
My personal sexiest moment in Star Wars is the who are you? Helmet off. Someone who loves you.
Oh,
Get yourself a
Alright,
partner
I'll
who
be
will
right
break
back.
into a gang lord's palace and save your ass.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying, man.
yeah.
Oh, and speaking of that
Yeah.
gang lord himself, like, New Hope scene aside, we don't
Yeah.
have to have the whole special edition conversation. But the
Laptinet. Come on.
genius of practical Jabba, that puppet is when I understand why Diego Luna wants to touch it so badly. Like, that Jabba is, I think, one of the most effective special effects ever committed to film. He's
Yeah.
so repulsive, but also magnetic. You can't stop looking at him. His interactions with Luke, his interactions with Leia, and Salacious and 3PO, just like backhanding 3PO, like,
Whoa,
like
whoa, whoa.
He's so menacing. Yeah.
She's a bitch, a wonky Chewbacca.
that's the best. It's the best.
I just love
man.
the phrase "the mighty Chewbacca," and like
Yeah.
again, just saying so much. It's like building that lore, building the lore that Solo, the show, would have explored. Of like, why does he know them as the mighty Chewbacca? Like, it's
And
just
like
so good.
Han Mabugi, like
yeah.
that they were his boy, his A team at one time, and
Mhm.
that moment, and also you'll find that the Emperor is not as forgiving as I am.
So good.
It's like when you first hear that as a child, you're like, what?
Whoa.
Like, it gets worse.
That's also the Vader humor that people forget about. Was
Mhm.
because okay, yeah, choke on your aspirations, maybe a little more on the nose, but
Yeah.
it's the same guy. Like, it's the
Mhm.
same dark humor, right? This is the guy who chokes out all his minions. He's like, hey, he's not as forgiving as I am, dude.
It's
Like,
still Anakin
it's so good.
Skywalker.
Yeah.
Vader's
Yep.
great. Like
Yep.
when he grabs Luke's lightsaber when they're on the Endor Skywalk, he just grabs it, looks at it, he's like, okay, cool. This is
That is
This
a
is interesting.
wonderful scene.
I
It
also
is
think that
looking-
that's
Such an underrated scene.
That's Anakin the
Yeah.
Tinkerer, right? Like, that's
Mhm.
Anakin that built 3PO, being like, I see you've constructed, like, in the back of his mind, he's like, he did this, he did this, he did this. But it's also the weight. Like, you could argue that Palpatine shocking Luke is the tipping point, but the Anakin is crawling his way out here. This
Yeah.
is where
Yeah.
it starts.
It's a
you know?
million cracks
Yeah.
in the armor right there.
Uh-huh.
And
it all starts with Empire too. Yeah, when he sees
Yeah.
Luke fall.
And I think also that scene in particular is what opened my heart up the most to what we will potentially get in Obi-Wan Kenobi
Mhm.
because
Oh,
of that
yeah.
one line
Yep.
of
Yep.
Obi-Wan once thought
Once
is
thought
you
is
did.
you do.
And it's like
the best.
it's like that, and that's what excites me also about Obi-Wan and Star Wars in general, like that ability to sneak into the slimmest of cracks and be like, we're gonna make something here. Like,
There's a story. Yep.
yeah, it's
There's
cool.
only a few things
see.
in Star Wars that are like your fixed points that can never change. And so like all the Obi-Wan Kenobi show has to do is end in a way where Vader doesn't know where he is or if he's alive. If
That's why
Obi-Wan
you
makes
have
a
to have
daring
him.
escape,
That's why you had to
or-
have him in Kenobi from day one.
fakes his death, yeah, like if he's gonna like however that show ends, as long as it makes it, you know, if it's still logical that he could be on Tatooine and not be found, that's all you need. Just like if you ever tell a Han and Lando story pre-Empire, your only rule is that the story needs to end with Lando being pissed at Han. That's the only rule. That way Empire still works. Aside from that, go nuts. And I was staunchly anti-Vader being in the
Me
Obi-Wan show.
too. Me too.
I
At least
didn't
that
want it.
meeting.
Yeah,
Like-
them meeting. I didn't
Yeah.
want it. I
I
thought
was
that the new,
anti-Maul.
I thought New Hope. Oh yeah, I mean, I thought
That's
New Hope
different.
had to be
That's-
the first time they met. That was the duel, the first duel since Mustafar. But it's, as I've thought about it, Obi-Wan has to go from "you were my brother, I loved you" to he needs to die, and
Yep.
because
Yep.
that's very different. Like by Jedi, he's like, if you won't face him, we already lost, and it's like you got to kill your dad, you got to kill him. There ain't nothing left. It's like, but I thought that when he was burning, you loved him and he was your brother.
Yeah,
There's a
true.
change.
Like you can
So-
kind of see that change, but yeah, I think this Kenobi show. What really bothered me about Kenobi was the way they marketed it is like rematch.
The
of
greatest
century.
showdown.
Yeah.
Greatest
I'm like,
rematch. Yeah.
I don't like that.
feel
Like,
like
why are
that-
you marketing that?
That's
Gives
just
them
for the
money.
simpler people.
Yeah, but I
We're
think
men
over
of,
time,
culture and
Money.
class. We
money.
don't need.
I
that.
cannot
We don't
wait
need
for
that
Kathleen Kennedy with a glass of red wine is like, the rematch was of the souls. Like,
Please.
it was
It'll-
mentality.
It'll all be
Yeah.
dyad,
Okay.
looking at
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
what's next?
So
What's
we ready to
next?
move on?
The top
So this
three now.
one's definitely
Top three.
Empire, Rebels, Last Jedi is my.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you guys right
gotta
now
do
that
that.
if Rogue One squeaks its way into this top
It's
three,
not.
It
It's
can't.
not.
Funny you did
It
it.
literally can't.
It's not.
I probably have
not
Rogue One the
going to.
highest, and I put Rogue One at 6. So
I
Wow.
think it's gonna be
Definitely not.
No
Empire.
way. Yeah.
It's Empire.
I think this will be either.
It's
I
my
think this will
movie.
be Empire or this will be Empire, or Rebels.
Empire's not gonna be number one. There's no way.
Maybe
Empire, Rebels, Last Jedi. That's how it is.
It's gotta be Rebels.
Yeah.
Empire.
So no prequel. Wow.
That's crazy to me. I thought we were getting a prequel.
Number three,
Hey.
Empire.
This
Yeah.
is my movie.
All
This is
right.
my favorite movie of all time.
This is my
Probably
favorite
one of the
movie
best
all time as
paced
well.
movies of all time. So
Mhm.
This
pacing is
is
so
this
good.
is my favorite movie ever made.
This created sequels, right?
I just like
And the
whenever
way
I
we
think
know it.
about the,
Sequels, yeah.
whenever I think about the beauty of this movie, how perfect it is. I don't even think about Star Wars. It's probably the only thing I don't think about Star Wars at all. I just don't correlate this the way how perfect this film is from every perspective to Star Wars. It just speaks
Yeah.
to me as a filmmaker more than anything, first and foremost.
From
How to
beginning
pace a
end.
movie, how to edit a movie. It's the textbook definition of all those traits. I mean,
I think
there's like no flaws with it, honestly.
I-
And it's
There's-
like
there's
it's
everything that's
full
been
of
said
so
about it has been
many.
said.
It's full of so many risks, right? Like Nikki, you mentioned Mark Hamill and Yoda. Like if Frank Oz and Mark Hamill and like the Henson team, like if that doesn't work, it falls apart.
Shit.
Like that's everything falls apart.
Yeah.
Everything. And we might not have a prequel trilogy, to do a CG Yoda. Like this
Mhm.
movie, it's also one of the most misremembered movies, something I go on a lot about. Like people remember this as being the grim one in the original trilogy. It was
It's
so
so
cool.
lighthearted.
It is
Yoda's
the
Yoda's
goofiest.
It's funny.
Yoda's
It's so
introduction
funny.
is
The
so
most humorous.
Literally, like the entire third act has fucking Anthony Daniels just saying dumb shit while he's being carried
Yeah,
around
exactly.
on
yeah.
Chew's back. Like it's hilarious. It's outside of Solo, the most schmaltzy and like saccharine and romantic, and like
Yeah.
it's just
It's the most mysterious one. Like there can never be a more
Mhm.
mysterious Star Wars movie. It just puts
Yeah.
everything. It takes A New Hope, right? Such a fun movie where the good guys defeat the, and it's a simple, basic story. It's very, it puts out ideas like the Force and stuff. But
yeah.
it literally explains what the Force is to you in the most impossible way that
Without
couldn't
being an
happen.
explainer.
without
Yeah.
oversaturating the
Yeah,
It happens,
exposition.
yeah.
Yoda's luminous beings monologue is the greatest monologue in Star Wars.
Yeah. My
And-
favorite moment in Star Wars,
And
besides
through,
Binary Sunset.
through to I don't believe it. That is why you fail.
Yeah.
Again, it's like how do people
Oh.
miss the point of these movies, right? Like
mean,
it
yeah,
is,
that's
it's
the-
so right there for you.
Yeah,
And we'll
that
talk
scene
about
where
this,
he lifts
like-
X-wing with the music. That's when I think.
Yeah,
that's when I
it's-
just know
that's-
that's one of the best
that scene is
movies
fucking perfect.
ever made. Just forget Star Wars. Forget
The
anything about Star Wars. That's one of the
Dagobah
best movies ever made.
sequence, and we'll talk about it coming up here in the top 2, I'm sure. Last Jedi, all the Octo stuff on Last Jedi is a sequel to Dagobah.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
those two things of like everything, like that is why you fail. The tree, the rock, everything that he says becomes Luke saying it's not a power that you have. The death, decay, like everything that Rey describes while she's feeling it. Like
That
Star
scene
Wars is
good.
way more about. That's why I resent it when it's called sci-fi. It is fantasy.
Yep.
It is.
This
And
is the
it's
meat and
pure
potatoes of the
fantasy.
story and
Pure
mythos of Star Wars.
Yeah, but-
Easily, everything about.
This is
Yeah.
it, and this is like,
Yeah.
and it's about that looseness and those in betweens and those unexplained moments, and that's why people draw.
Yeah.
Like the movie doesn't need to stop to tell you why the dark side cave, or even that the dark side cave is showing you your insecurities. You just know.
The movie
It's
is
just
like the
doing it.
most. It's the weirdest structured movie ever. Like there'll never be a more weird or structured movie like it, because it just starts with a big ending battle, the Battle of Hoth. That's the very beginning. So you know that the day, it's like a big day, right? The day's only gonna get worse. Oh, Han Solo died, or got frozen carbonite. The day can't get worse, right? Luke is I'm your father. The day can't get worse. Luke commits suicide. The day can't get worse. It's this kind of thing that just builds upon tension, and just that tension that you have by the third act. It's like it just ends, right? It goes by in 5 minutes, and that's why to me it's just the perfect structure, right? Perfect structure.
Yeah. Like Han Solo is my guy, and this is Harrison's best performance in Star Wars, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Just the look he gives Luke and Hoth when like they part ways, it's just beautiful. I Love You, I Know is probably my favorite scene in all of Star Wars. Like
This
the
is
whole,
incredible.
like Chewie, you have to protect her. It's like, oh my god. It's like,
And then
after
even
he kills-
tiny moments like,
Oh.
I happen to like nice men. I'm nice men. Like that's such a stupid thing to say, but he
Beautiful.
sells it
So good.
Yeah.
so well. What a movie.
Soundtrack wise, it technically is the best because it has the most iconic, Imperial March,
It's
Han
up
Leia
there,
theme.
yeah.
It's probably the best one
Yoda's theme.
overall.
Yoda's theme is like
Yeah.
up there with Rey's.
It has the most
Yeah.
iconic themes.
It's-
I
it's
personally think Revenge of the
bangers
Sith
all
is
the way
my
through.
favorite.
And then
For
the,
score.
the duel in Bespin's probably my favorite duel,
Yeah, it's
also
so good.
next to Return of the Jedi. Like it's so well shot.
Because
So
it's
well
not
done.
exactly.
With you, young
It's the
Skywalker.
most beautiful
Oh,
shot.
chill.
But you're not a Jedi yet, and that's
You
it.
cannot-
That iconic shot
Better
in
shot.
the
You cannot
chamber.
you cannot have a better
Yeah.
place to put
And
the
there
camera.
are
They couldn't
small
have. They couldn't have
choices
decided a
like-
single thing.
Small choices like this that don't come up later in any Star Wars movie. Maybe they do, but things that like really don't have internal logical reasons, but they're artistic choices. Like when he says, but you're not a Jedi yet," Luke turns on the lightsaber, boom, blade comes out. But when
Yeah.
Vader does it, comes out very
Slow,
slowly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen. It doesn't have a reason. We've seen lightsabers turn on and off. That's not what happens, but it's there in the myth of like, I won't break a sweat during this.
Yeah.
You should have
He's
stayed
finding
and trained.
one-handed.
You should have stayed and trained, bitch. Like you should have listened.
It's
Um,
like peak, like where he's got his head like in one hand and Luke's like swinging around.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's
And
so
what is
good.
that like the storytelling of the fight? Like when Luke does manage to tag him on the shoulder, it ends.
it's game over. Yeah, it's over.
Yeah,
It's like okay.
Vader's like, oh,
Like,
cool.
no, fuck you.
It,
Yeah,
it reminds me of Force Awakens when Finn gets one scratch on Kylo. I was like, okay, it's game over here.
Yeah.
The shoulder as well, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow,
Yeah.
JJ, way to rehash it.
The lore of Empire, one of the biggest lores of Empire that no one really, well, everyone appreciates but doesn't talk about as much is the set design and how it easily is the best set design in Star Wars because you have
Oh,
Dagobah,
man.
you have the most contrast in set design. You have Cloud City, obviously. Then you
Deco
have the
Base.
chamber where they fight, and each individual chamber, right, like the carbonite freezing place, and then that tunnel that Luke is in,
The
and
hallway.
then the fucking the
when he's like throwing.
Oh, man.
the hallway,
the,
yeah, that part, and then
yeah,
the very
window.
the part where he says, "I'm your father." There's like the best set design,
Yeah.
easily.
And also,
Vader-
have we
Vader's
talked about
reactions is so great.
Billy D. Williams? Like
Oh.
one of the
Oh,
greatest,
amazing!
like coming in later in the story characters. Like
Man.
Yeah, like,
there's
the movie is
characters-
so structured so weirdly, and
and
that's
he
why.
fits so well. Like
Mhm.
and obviously we know the real life reason of like we need to have another Rogue just in case Harrison doesn't do the third one, but it he fits in so organically, and again the story just trusts you to. Lando's not a system; it's a man. Like, and you're like, huh? What? Han has friends that are not the characters I love. Like, what does that mean? Like, it's a masterclass. I mean, it's not a coincidence that Kevin Feige, being a Star Wars fan, has his Phase 2 movies all pay tribute to Empire. Like, with the visual gag of losing the hand, it happens in different ways, but this is, I mean, again, in the same way that New Hope changed cinematic language. This changes. Like, how often do you hear, "Oh, it's the Empire of this"? It's the Empire of this.
The Last Jedi is going to be the Empire of Star Wars sequel trilogies.
What about best one since
Infinity
Empire?
War is
love
the
that one.
Empire of Avengers.
Best one since Empire is
Best
my
one since
favorite because
Empire.
I don't agree with it, but it's
The reason being is because of how it expands upon A New Hope so well. Because you have two planets in A New Hope. You have the Death Star. That's it, right? That's the only location
It
you
is
have.
the
Then you have
darker
fucking
sequel.
Dagobah. Then you have fucking Cloud City. Then you have the most Hoth. Then you have the most
And,
imaginative places.
And the Force as well. I mean, Luke Luke can pull things towards him. Oh shit, you can do that? You can pull the lightsaber out of the snow? Oh
there
shit.
was no physical
Homie's a
horsepower
ghost?
before.
Homie can be a ghost now? Like
Yeah.
like all these things are
So
now
weird.
like just coming up. And again, it does it without being an explainer. It's just like
Oh,
it's like
And
this
it's
is a- this is a
so many
thing.
of those like
This just
traditions
happened.
start here.
Yeah.
Every single Star Wars movie, Revenge of the Sith, a little bit debatable, although you could argue about the premonitions and visions and stuff. But every Star Wars movie, or almost everyone, introduces new force powers, and that starts here. So when people say like that wasn't a power before, I'm like, well then don't watch Empire.
Well,
then.
yeah,
Only
what are
watch
you
New
talking
Hope. Like,
So the Force, you can't move things with your mind. Cool. Gotcha.
Wait,
Yeah.
even now, like the Force vision on Dagobah still gives me like mysterious vibes. People are still digging into what does that exactly mean. Like he's fighting a clone of himself behind Vader's mask. Like it's still...
Just some dude it was.
I didn't expect that.
Yoda is so good. He's my favorite part of this movie.
That
Like,
was
just
robot
his
shit,
introduction.
actually. That wasn't
What a
actually-
performance too! Like
Frank
the
Oz.
Yoda. I know we talked about it a little bit, but like Frank's voice choices, the puppeteering, like
Mhm.
he is, and also his intro of like, I'm a great
Good.
warrior. Like war's not like one great.
And
like
that tone in his voice slightly changes after you discover he's Yoda.
That is
too.
one of the
Oh,
great moments.
so good.
Yeah,
the
like
switch. The switch is one of the great
Yeah.
moments.
from shit eating Yoda to okay, it's time to train Yoda.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
We're like,
and
because I think his first move is, he's like, I cannot train him, right? Like, is that the first line of
because he
Serious
with,
Yoda?
with the
And it's just
implication
like-
being that Ben has been there the whole time. It's that Yoda can communicate with him, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Luke
so
can't
it's-
see him yet. Yeah.
It looks like, where is
and
he?
he's like, yeah, no, I don't. And obviously, in expanded canon, now we know that Yoda wanted to train Leia, which is a great bit from
It's one of the
Fat
best.
Pop.
They talked
One of
about
the
it.
best.
So when Luke departs for Bespin,
Right.
Obi-Wan and Yoda talk about it immediately after he's gone. He's like, you know what? Probably Leia, right?
That was
Yep.
Claudia Gray's story, right?
That was, yeah.
Yeah. So
Is that
there's-
from
No, no,
some
no,
point
that
of
was
view?
that was
well,
Claudia.
from a certain point of view, the first
Who wrote
one.
that one?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still
From a
remember.
certain point of view, the first one talks about
Yes.
Yoda wanting Leia before
Yes.
New Hope, and then from a certain point of view, Empire follows up with
Got
the.
them
That's like the
switched.
funniest
Yeah.
shit. I forgot who wrote that one. In the A New Hope.
Yeah, I
one,
can't recall.
But
either.
it's so funny. It's so well played because he's like, oh man, look at this girl. She's epic. She's so smart. She's focused. And then they're like, everyone's like, yeah. So I'm sending Luke your way. And he's like, what?
It's not what I wanted. That book also
Feedback.
establishes that Yoda's blanket is Qui-Gon's cloak.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
That's
he-
dark.
his
Wow.
brown blanket, he kept it all those
Changes,
years.
Interesting.
changes so much perspective.
Does it smell like
It's like-
Qui-Gon still? Jeez.
Yeah, it smells like Shmi.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Elliot Alden. Don't know the person on my side.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shmi and Qui-Gon
Shmigon is not a theory. It's what happened.
Yep.
Wait,
Canon.
Conceived by the
Shmigon is fuck Raylo. It's all about Shmigon.
Hey now, hey.
Shmigon
Shut up,
is his
Evan.
life.
And Duke knew.
Duke knew. Oh, Jocasta.
man.
Well, that actually has
Yeah, that
way
makes
more
sense.
evidence.
That's
Yeah.
literally
Way more evidence, yeah.
Hey,
that
penis
was-
right there.
There's the deleted scene of the Dooku bust.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I think what was it? Not Jedi Lost, but
Dooku-
something
Dooku-
alludes to
No.
Master and Apprentice.
Master and Apprentice. I think it is that alludes to
Oh, yeah,
something
they
in
talk
between
about
them.
Jedi Lost and
Um,
Master Apprentice, by the way, great back-to-back reads.
Great books. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
came out at the same time too.
Yeah.
It's also Jedi Lost has a great because it has to be Qui-Gon young, so it just sounds like a random Irish teenager, and it's fantastic.
It's funny.
Oh,
Um,
Master
I just-
Dooku.
While we were on it, I just want to give a shout out to Gary. What's the word to go? Gary D. Schmidt, who wrote "There's Another."
Oh, really?
From a certain point of view.
Oh,
Fantastic.
well
Okay.
done, Gary.
That was the
Schmidt.
guy. You nailed it.
Okay, so moving on.
Rebels.
I'm just gonna reveal the order of these, 'cause we all know what the two.
It's
are.
Rebels and Last
then
Jedi. Yeah.
Rebels and Last Jedi.
Okay. What do you think the order is?
Rebels number
Rebels,
one, please.
then
I think-
Last
Rebels.
Jedi.
I think
think
Rebels
Rebels
is
would be-
gonna.
I think
I want
Rebels
Rebels
would
to
be
number
two.
one so
I think.
badly.
Yeah, I had Rebels over it, but
I had Rebels as one.
Are we getting Last Jedi number 2? What's going on here?
Please,
No way.
please,
Come
Rebels
on.
number one.
Come
Please,
on.
Rebels number one.
It's
Please,
Rebels,
number
then
one.
Last Jedi.
Yes!
Yeah,
Holy shit!
we
I'm not
won.
even mad about it.
This is
You did it,
fucking
Joe.
justice. This is all
We
I
did it,
needed.
Joe.
This makes me happy.
Rebels. Okay.
I am content.
Skipping
I am
Last Jedi
content.
for a second. Rebels. I just finished my rewatch of it. It's a masterpiece. It's my favorite Star Wars.
It's a perfect
It's just,
piece.
it
of Star
gets
Wars.
Star Wars. Like
Best
nothing
canon story.
ever.
Best
okay.
canon
We
story.
need to
Star
give
Wars.
number 2. We need to give number 2 its
We
credit.
definitely need to give the number
No.
1, the real number
Last
1.
Jedi is my favorite
For
movie
real
of
number
all
one.
time.
Wow.
I'm not against it.
Last
Wow.
Jedi is a
I
masterpiece.
adore Rebels. I
Can I
give
just
both
say,
these
where did
out
we
of
all
5.
put Rebels? I put Rebels at number 3.
Number
I
one.
believe.
I had it at one.
I did
I had it at
second.
three.
I did second after Jedi.
I think Rebels is my favorite canon story overall.
I mean,
These are
Rebels
my
is like. I mean,
favorite.
That's hard.
okay.
It's my favorite storytelling of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that both of
there's-
these, 1 and 2, are both masterpieces.
Yes.
I think that, Nikki, you said like New Hope, like if we had to delete everything, it should be the one that stays, and I agree. With that said, I think that if you asked me to distill Star Wars down to its purest, I think you would be left with two after that
Yep.
science experiment, you would be left with 2 crystals, New Hope and Rebels. I think that they really are like Rebels,
Rebels is Star Wars.
it's all of it, right? Like it's got
Last Jedi too. Like honestly, both.
Last Jedi
These
too,
are
I
the
mean,
perfect number. Like 1 and 2. It's perfect.
These
Last Jedi is a
are-
perfect movie. Yeah.
I think that I both of these expanded my horizons, expanded my viewpoints, expanded my understanding of the philosophies, my appreciation of the philosophies. Sabine Wren is there with Han Solo as my favorite character.
The whole Ghost
Um,
crew is like
Kanan
some of my
is top.
favorite characters. And
Kanan is
any of
top.
them.
in Star
Like,
Wars.
Kanan's my fourth
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
Ezra, Hera. I love Hera so much. And her
Chopper,
arc and
Zeb,
how she
the
opened-
redemption
yeah.
of Callus taking place over
Hot Callus.
Hot Callus,
Hot
Hot
Callus.
Callus.
Hot
The
Callus.
last
is
4
best-
episodes of Rebels being the
The-
not just the peak storytelling, but like
Not just the
essentially
last 4 episodes, but from Flight of the Defender on in
Yes,
season 4,
yeah.
it's one of the best streets
Yeah.
in television.
For,
It is
for me,
insane.
the epic
Mhm.
cut
That's high praise.
is Rebel Assault to the
Mhm.
end.
Yeah.
Rebel
Fucking
Assault
love
to the
That's
end
like
is
the one
just like
for me, but yeah.
it has
I never
I
realized
every-
how perfect season 3 was.
Let's
I've always
save
liked
most
like,
of our
season 3
Rebels
wasn't as
thoughts.
good as season
We need
2.
to go
We're saving most of
TLJ.
our Rebels thoughts
You're
because
just like, oh, Rebels.
we're doing a whole episode this
We're
week.
doing a Rebels episode. That's right. Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you? Wow, really?
I'm sure a lot of you guys will probably be on it. And
What day is that? I'm busy today.
Sunday. Are you busy Sunday night?
Barry.
Very.
After Barry.
Okay.
Evan's like, might be able to shift some things around for you.
We'll see. We'll see my schedule. I love
Guys.
Rebels so much.
Post
Less
Barry,
than
then
2
it's
weeks
post
until
the post Barry nut.
Yes.
Then
Nikki knows what's
it's
up. Nikki knows what's up.
less than 2 weeks until Celebration.
So
goes.
yeah, Rebels and Masteries. What's this
Yeah.
talk about Last Jedi right now?
TLJ, this is the movie of my dreams because after The Force
Yeah.
Awakens, The Force Awakens is everything I wanted. That 2-year gap, I'm like, what's really going to pique my interest? Rey and Kylo, of course, were my big thing. Reylo, Rey Ben, everything about that. I was like, okay, I'm hoping for a Ben Demption by the end of the trilogy. The fact that Ryan gave it to me in TLJ was wild, or at least started it. And TLJ was wild to me. Throne Room sequence, still one of the best sequences in all of film for me. Just Ryan coming in and giving the most the most character-driven Star Wars movie out of all the Star Wars movies for me. Each character has a
It's
clear,
the most-
defined arc.
Yeah.
The
Is-
best
They
acted
all-
Star Wars
It's the most
movie.
acted, best
You
acted,
cannot-
best
you
shot,
literally cannot say it's
best
the best.
characters.
You cannot
Every-
say there's a better actor. Star
Adam
Wars. You
Driver
cannot.
delivers the best performance.
Mark
in all
Hamill
Star
and Adam
Wars.
Driver are the best actors.
Mark
Yeah,
Hamill
and Daisy,
should have gotten
honestly.
nominated for an Oscar. I mean, you could
Yes.
make an argument for Adam and Daisy lead, and then Carrie and Mark supporting. Like,
yeah,
like,
definitely.
Easily.
this is the work of Mark Hamill's career.
Oh,
Period. Voice and on screen. Like, this is.
Ryan Johnson's the best director to create Star Wars from just a
yeah.
directorial standpoint.
Also, a
directorial
missed
Just,
I agree with that.
from
opportunity.
just the
Crazy.
directorial standpoint.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I was
Nikki?
like, it's also a missed opportunity. Crazy.
Oh yeah, I know. Fucking
Oh boy.
wild.
To me,
Uh,
like the Last
yeah.
Jedi is like the.
Oh, now he talks.
It could have. Wait,
He's been saving his voice for this.
Not only because of this, but I've just been so like entranced by everybody's thoughts on the previous fucking projects. I was like, I'll sit this one out. But like, to me, like the Last Jedi is it could have easily been the, like the nostalgia baiting. Let's make Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker.
But then
the
Ryan
badass
Johnson
that-
comes in.
Who's Snoke?
Yeah, the badass that
He's
everybody
still
thinks he is,
fresh.
and he is a badass, but not in the way that fans or a
Mm.
certain side of the fandom wanted him to be
Yeah.
in this movie. And it's just so like it just gets the themes of Star Wars like really.
And
fucking
the
well.
thing about it is that
It
the
does,
entire
yeah.
film being about failure, being about nobody gets what they want except for Kylo Ren, but he only gets what he thinks he wants.
Exactly.
And-
he gets a
and-
Zuko
Yeah.
arc. He gets
a Zuko arc, and the brilliance of it is that the whole movie, all of it up until Cray, spends the entire time challenging the themes of Star Wars and asking, really? And then Cray says, yeah, it affirms all of them. So when people got really mad at me, like they often do on Twitter, because I said some of Last Jedi's biggest fans don't understand it, is because
true,
a lot of people that love this movie to death will say this movie makes the argument against the Jedi, and it's like, no, this movie unpacks the argument against the Jedi.
Yeah,
And then
explains
says,
them.
oh, but wait, like Luke having that moment as she's about to lift the rocks, the way Daisy sells that with the little like lifting rocks.
I
like,
will
the way
not
that
be the
all
last
comes
Jedi.
in.
I'm just gonna say,
Fucking
just
amazing.
the more I think about it, the more I really wish there was more of that stuff.
This bitch had Last Jedi like number
Luke
8
and
or
Ray.
9.
Whoa!
You know? I
Sean,
wish
Wait,
there
are
was
you-
more Luke and
whoa.
Ray.
He's
I wish
throwing
there
out
was-
he's throwing out people's lists now. He's leaking. He's leaking
He's ready to-
documents.
I had it. I mean, I had it.
That's a crime.
I had it in
Arrest
top
this
3 for
man.
the longest time. I had it in top 3 for a solid 2-3 years.
Wait, what happened? What the fuck?
COVID happened.
COVID,
what happened?
yeah.
You
COVID
wake up,
really
you're like,
changed
"Ah,"
you, huh?
It moved from number 3 to number 9. What happened? What happened? Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
I always think
Love
about the
somebody
Last
did that.
Jedi in that, having walked out of the theater,
Mm.
it took me a while to like figure out what I thought.
Yeah, me too.
Like it was like I didn't have a negative reaction, but it was almost like a numb reaction. It was like, because I also remember the meme that was like Star Wars and then like the Last Jedi like thing, and then the middle was, I swear to God, if I have to watch Luke Skywalker die with my own two eyes, I felt that too. But then so like leaving that, I was like, huh, wow. And then it took over the course of eating dinner and then going to like sit down and watch it again. I was like, that was fucking genius. Like
yeah, the way they do it is so.
it is,
incredible.
I think, like the greatest edited scene of Star Wars
the
to me
spark.
is the
Best editing, yeah.
is the
Well, before
um,
the spark, when all three
The whole- the whole-
storylines
the
come
it's
whole-
together.
all three.
Yep,
I was
it's-
about
it's
to say that,
Holdo,
Nikki. That is
it's-
incredible.
yeah, it's
We'll never
Holdo,
get
it's
better editing in
the
a blockbuster.
lightsaber
modern
tug of
blockbuster.
war, and
And
it's the execution.
the
And it's-
music
and
during
it's
that
John Williams'
scene,
music.
Incredible.
the music
John
is
Williams' music,
incredible.
it is fucking
It
genius.
sucks that people
Does-
can't appreciate that just because they don't like a certain character in that scene. It kind of
They're morons.
There,
The,
there are things in that movie
yeah.
where
Hey, Rose is one of the best characters in this.
I was talking about
and
Great.
Holdo. I was talking about Holdo.
Fantastic.
Uh,
Oh, Holdo is great too.
there are things in that
Fantastic
movie
arcs,
like that cut, like the Snoke death, like
The
the
spark.
Yoda and Luke scene, like the
Mhm.
spark,
Yeah.
like everything. There are things where I'm like, how I wonder what it feels like for Ryan Johnson to just be sitting at home knowing I wrote and directed that. Like
Yeah.
Crazy.
it must be the most incredible
Also,
feeling
like
of all time.
I talked about magic tricks with Han for movie magic, but I think one of the greatest Star Wars magic tricks ever, or just of genre blockbusters, is showing you Crate Luke for the first time. He has that beautiful scene with Carrie, which is incredible. But in the back of your mind as an audience, your emotions watching it are wrestling with the fact that you know something ain't right, and you know
Yeah.
that this movie it's too, like, they care too much to get his hair and makeup wrong later on in the movie. Like, that you're like, the hair is too short. Why is it not as gray? You're asking all those
Just for men
questions.
in.
Yeah, like you're asking all those questions that make you feel like
There's footsteps
Like-
not showing in the salt.
right. So like normally
Which
those kinds
nobody
of
realized in the
questions
first
you would
time.
be like, it took me out of the movie. But that's the point. Is that it wants you to have that
It's a little bit off. Yeah.
focus on the dialogue. No, but it's still kind of bothering me. No, focus on the dialogue. No, but it's still kind of bothering me until he fucking swings through him, and then they do the hard cut to Luke levitating, and my theater lost it.
Dude,
Oh,
my
the
favorite
levitation
theater
shot,
moment.
yeah.
Probably my
Yeah,
favorite theater moment, honestly.
And because of Obi-Wan, because of the way Obi-Wan dies,
because of Obi-Wan.
you're still you're still like wondering, was that actually him? Because
Yeah.
we know you with the swing you can just disappear. But like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the
Then
greatest.
then
fucking-
Kylo
No,
puts
the
it
movie
straight
really
through him.
is- It really is the most intellectual Star Wars movie, huh? It
The
really is.
also the score, John Williams' score is so genius in this movie. It like
Mhm.
both
yeah,
harkens back
Crate-
to everything he's
Battle
done
Crate's so
and
good.
Yeah.
reinvents too. There's this I don't know if you guys seen this video from this channel called Listening In, the genius of John Williams.
Oh.
Have you guys seen that?
No,
So he
yes.
breaks down his Star Wars
Yes.
scores, and
That
he has
that
this point
spark,
about
where you
like
touched
the
on the
Last
spark.
Jedi, the spark, where
Mm.
he's calling back to an old opera about they use the same note structure
Hmm.
that is when the ghost reveals itself in the opera.
Hmm.
So
Genius.
it's like
it's like
it's
it's
so
not fair how
good.
his brain
That
works.
guy, like,
Like-
he's just not.
It's like you yeah. And I know what's also interesting is how The Last Jedi is the only Star Wars movie to be scored the way it was, and that
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson and was it Nate Johnson? Did he do it with him? They made a temp
Nate.
score
Did
for
they?
the
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, they made their own, and then they gave that to John Williams, and they were like, "So this is like things we were feeling," because they didn't do it together. So I think
Yeah.
that's why there are times where when the Falcon's going through Crate and it's TIE fighter attack.
That is
I
one of the
think
best cues.
Yeah,
It's
I
Yeah.
think
so
what
good.
happened. I think we can give
So
Ryan
good.
Johnson credit for that because
wow.
they probably
Yeah.
stuck that there.
That
And-
scene is so like
Yeah.
reminiscent of Star Tours too.
right,
Like,
and John
Mhm.
Williams was probably like, "I vibe with that. That's good,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe gave it a little extra flavor. I think it is a new recording. It's not just a plant.
So
but,
since it's
yeah.
our number one movie, what's your favorite scene in Last Jedi?
Oh, it's
Uh,
easily it's the hand touch scene between
Luke walking out
yeah.
to
between Ben and Ray.
The greatest teacher
Sean's-
there is.
Sean's got my number 2.
Yeah,
Edgar, great choice.
Edgar has that great one.
Mine is
Mine
a little.
oh, go ahead, Josh.
Mine is a little off base a little bit. Lesson 1. The
I was
way
also gonna say
everything
Lesson
comes
1.
together. Yeah, it's fucking beautiful.
Lesson 1 has my favorite line in all of Star Wars, period, bar none, which I've tweeted about 1,000 times, and it's
What would that be?
to say that if the Jedi dies, the light dies is vanity.
Can you
Uh,
feel that?
Can
He
you
wrote
feel
that.
that?
He wrote that with that gift that I always send the fucking
The fire.
Like,
Since everybody's already named the best scenes, I'm gonna go with one of my all-time favorite Star Wars moments because Poe is my favorite character. I love pilots. The X-wing drift around
Oh, yeah.
the TIE fighters
That opening is so
is
good.
amazing. It's
Like,
so
people
good.
hate that opening. It's the most misunderstood shit. Like it's like the whole. It's just the
People
whole
hate
point of the
that?
movie and Poe's whole arc of because like of technical shit. Like why did they use Y-wing bombers
Fucking
and shit?
stupid
Well,
shit.
he's
yeah.
fucking,
But-
Poe's fucking wrong. Like,
But like how
Yeah.
exactly the whole point of his character is
He's
for
not
him to
right.
be a dumbass to become
He
a
doesn't
leader.
deserve to know everything that's going on. He's not at
Yes.
that level.
That criticism is still one of the most
He's not-
illogical.
yeah,
criticisms.
like Holdo is unequivocally correct about everything she does.
Exactly.
yeah.
Even when
She-
she doesn't,
she's a fucking vice admiral and he's
she doesn't have all the right.
So-
She doesn't have the
He's
tools
only
to
a
make better.
captain, right?
She's
Like,
doing.
Yeah.
He's a captain
And
that
he-
goes
and
down
she's
to
a fucking
commander.
vice admiral. That's
Yeah.
like a high.
It's
People who
wild to me
don't
that people don't
understand
understand it.
Holdo are just telling
And-
on themselves that they've never been in charge of shit in their life.
They've never been in
Like-
charge of anything, and
Yeah.
they're bad learners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're bad learners, and I would also add people that, because again, all three arcs end in some kind of failure. Ray leaves half cocked and cannot turn him back. DJ does betray them, and they fuck up, and they do not get to bring down the Supremacy's defenses, and get them to be able to jump away. And Poe fails too, and it's like characters like DJ, those triads that Ryan talks about: Ray, Luke, Kylo,
Mhm.
Poe, Leia, Holdo, DJ, Rose, Finn.
Yeah.
Those are all ideological things being hammered out throughout the movie. And people say that one of my least favorite criticisms of this movie, because it's just blatantly incorrect, is, oh, Finn learns the same lesson twice. And it's like, it's not true.
No,
That
no.
makes
Finn in Force Awakens is a loyalty to friends and loved ones, the people that you just became close with. Finn in
And
Last
this movie's
Jedi
finding
is
his place.
ideology. Like,
Yeah.
he starts this movie
Yeah.
with "Where's Ray?" and by the end, it's, I don't even know where Ray is, but I'm ready to die for this cause.
I'm rebel scum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are you willing to? What are you gonna stand for now?
Rebels.
Like now that you
come
found yourself, what are you gonna be?
All right.
Yeah.
For
Josh.
sure.
Yeah.
and
it's a
and then
shame.
9 takes it to the, and now you're going to lead it and inspire others and be there on the
Yeah.
front line. It's like, it's a direct thing, and it's media literacy.
And I
Yes.
love
say
Rose's
one-
theme in this movie.
There's a
too.
lot of,
Rose-
like, criticisms
Rose is a
that
fantastic thing.
Even like Boyega has, which is fair. Yeah, but
There
I
are
like
some
that.
valid criticisms for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, especially with John Boyega's character. I will defend that. But one thing I do want to say is, I think we can all agree on this, but this is more of a criticism. There should have definitely been more Luke and Ray scenes. There was a lack of that.
Lack?
I think there should have been more. It should have been extended for sure.
I think it's fine the way it is,
But if you
I,
did that,
I
we would
would
have Finn and Rose though. and
I would like
I
to
would have preferred
insert-
100% Luke and Ray scenes.
well, I would have
I
insert.
disagree.
I like what there's. I like it the way it is.
Finn and Rose is so good.
I just like
But I
Josh's
would've-
face.
Inserted the caretaker party.
Yeah.
I would have inserted
that
that.
scene would have been nice to have in there. Yeah.
But I
I
get
don't
why
know,
it's not
'cause-
there.
It might be a change of pacing though too. Like
I mean,
It is.
more mystical scenes,
Yeah.
like more like lesson one type.
Lesson
scenes, I'm trying
one.
to say.
It's all you need.
but
Although I
think
do
they-
like
more
lesson 2,
explanation.
because lesson 2 was like
Yes,
a
yeah.
big like
Yeah.
hug to the prequels, like having Mark Hamill say Darth Sidious out loud,
people lost their
uh,
minds. Yeah.
and having him, like, I wish we could have had a The Office style cut to Obi-Wan's ghost when he's like, it was a Jedi Master that was responsible for the training and creation of Darth Vader. It's like Obi-Wan, like Jim face, like
Did Luke learn that one from Uncle Owen
Yeah.
based off the Obi-Wan trailer?
how to savagely dunk on Obi-Wan
Yeah.
Kenobi.
Poor
He just
guy.
hated this old guy. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think also another thing about the Darth Sidious line is so much, whether it was intended, I think it was intended, but so much of the vibe around Force Awakens and the sequels was, this ain't the prequels. Don't worry,
Mhm.
it's gonna be fine. It's not the prequels.
I mean,
and-
Anaheim Celebration had like nothing on the floor that
Yeah.
really
And so-
indicated.
So in a way where it was like, I think there was definitely some prequel fan anxiety around what these movies would try to do, especially when we've just seen Colin Trevorrow say Jurassic World ignores The Lost World in 3. Like, we're in that kind of like landscape where people might start making those decisions.
Yeah.
I think for The Last Jedi to, and then there's the Clone Army joke in Force Awakens, sort of, but
Yeah.
for The Last Jedi to really like upfront say Darth Sidious, and really like analyze the prequel Jedi Order's failure, I think is a really good.
That scene is also the start of the Rashomon tribute,
Yeah,
which
Woo!
I think
Yeah.
is so important for viewers, because it does, even though you get the best version of the story, it is still Luke's version.
Yeah. You never
It's
see
Luke's
Ben's
truthful version, but truth is always like the only people in Star Wars that can really tell the definitive truth are droids. Like, really, like,
Mhm.
unless that shit is recorded, it will always be tainted by perspective, and
Yeah.
or brightened by perspective, and that's the that's the beauty of the storytelling, is that you completely, that's another horribly gross and almost intentional misreading. People say Luke tried to murder his nephew. He did not try to murder his nephew. He thought he might have to take down his nephew.
And people
Those are
think
different
that
things.
just because Luke threw away his saber in episode 6, that makes him infallible. He can never fail one more time.
And
that's
those
not how
people
life works,
don't
though.
understand what addiction is. They don't understand what trials and
They've just
tribulations
not
are.
lived life.
They haven't lived
Yeah.
life. Like,
Yeah.
Growing up.
I've
I
had
love-
high highs, and let me tell you that I ate a peanut butter and jelly today in my underwear, and I did not feel those high highs anymore.
It's like irreparable damage with your nephew, eating a peanut butter jelly sandwich in your underwear.
Same.
What's the difference?
same,
Yeah.
same shit.
But I think this top 2 is like a perfect top 2 because I think they have the best encapsulation of Star Wars. Like I personally think they get the Force the most out of any other project. They get the heart, the themes of like family and finding yourself the most.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rebels and Last Jedi are both very fun parts of Star Wars medium. Like they're both fun, they're dark, they're emotional, and it encapsulates so many different genres
And magical.
emotions.
Like there's
And
so much
magical.
magic.
And have
Yeah.
terrible parts of fandom like
Yeah.
reactions. I
Yeah.
mean, the shit people
Yeah.
said. Are we officially moving out of Last Jedi?
Yeah. Let's go to number 1.
I think we
here.
should just touch on Rebels because, like I said, we're doing
Okay.
the episode this week.
Oh, okay, so yeah, but anyway, like the way people shit on episodes of Rebels as meaningless
Season 1 is
filler.
fantastic.
Filler
Season
is
1's amazing.
filler
Yeah.
makes me want to jump out my window, like just hearing that word.
The people that say
I
the filler
hate it.
episodes are some of my favorite. The Purgle episode is incredible.
They
Legend
don't
of the
understand
Messiah
what
is
the
one of my
word
favorites.
filler means.
I'll defend that Purgle episode till I
Yeah,
die.
remember in season 1, the Hera and Sabine episode? People were like, "Oh, that episode was so boring. It meant
good.
nothing." I'm like, "It is
It
crucial
showed their
to the
bond.
season." Yes.
They don't
People are
understand.
"Oh,
Like
that was nothing."
those people,
Ugh.
to quote the great Nikki Kumar, they don't want stories. They want Wikipedia articles. Like,
do.
Databank whores.
database
Like-
core.
Yeah, like they don't care. They don't
Anti-Mando
get it. They
shit.
just want
They don't want the
facts. They just
They don't want the
facts.
character work.
Meh,
Yeah.
meh.
Yeah.
I just want shit. And
They're
it's like
cool.
Yeah.
and yeah, it's Rebels is just I
It's
think, you know, the way we talk about Star Wars as fantasy, as fairy tale, I think you can't get any more fairy tale than going from street rat guy stealing fruit to facing down the Emperor of the Galaxy
Yep.
in
Mhm.
one story. Like
Mhm.
that is just the most fairy tale
Ezra
I
means
could
so
ever
much to
think
me.
of.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I mean, there's so much to say about Rebels. I don't even know.
It's also
Where to
like,
sort
and
of
we'll get
begin.
into this more, like, but we don't have to have the whole Thrawn conversation here because that's like more for the
What's
Rebels
this?
episode.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
touchable
But
based. Is
but the- the way that, like, to build on Nikki's point about the fairy tale, like, they took this guy who came from an era of 90s sort of like, and let's try to ground like Book Thrawn being a little bit more like a Trek villain, that type of thing, and they had this who they often call Star Wars Aladdin, and through the power of being centered, of not being tempted, of finally letting go and accepting my parents are dead, but I do still have family, I do still have love, is able to take his animal affinity to its highest heights and have large whales capture the evil tactician.
fucking Star Wars.
It's
Like,
like-
it's
it's so
Star Wars encapsulated.
Pure. Like, he doesn't, much like Rey and 9 or like Luke and 8, like, it doesn't end in attacks. It just ends in, I'm going to make sure that the situation is better.
Like many
Um,
arms surrounding you in a cold embrace.
God, that felt like
Oh,
foreshadowing.
so good.
Kanan
Rebels
Jarrus.
heard Ezra's connection to Athal and its like
Yes.
wildlife is so
Also,
beautiful.
I
and the way-
just forgot how
how it
fucking perfect
progresses.
season 3 was. Like, I always thought season 2 and season 4 were the strongest, but season 3 is
Season 3 is
just
great.
on a
There's some
whole
Yeah,
good
three-
highlights.
three
in
slaps.
three, yeah.
Yeah. But I always remember that shot with Ezra on the Thal with the wolves behind him and he ignites the green lightsaber. Oh my
Oh
god.
my fucking god.
Oh, you remember the trailer when it was the
Yeah.
last lesson?
Yeah.
And then the green came out and the
Oh my
wolves.
God.
But like,
Yeah.
honestly,
So good.
Lothal is my favorite planet in Star Wars, and
I love Wolf.
I just think it didn't chat like it. captures everything I love about Star Wars. Just that and Ezra's connection with it and Kanan's connection with it.
Kanan.
Yeah,
man.
Lothal is like
Kanan.
its own character, actually. Just like,
Yeah,
you thought about
exactly.
the way-
And
the whole
Wolf
character
Wolves,
is
the
so much
facts,
fucking story.
The
to it,
temple
actually.
that emerges from the ground
temple.
and the way
The
that the
wolves, the
The
mortar
way it
stuff,
evolves over seasons
citizens.
too
You
to
get to
show
know the
like
citizens so well in the
progress
first
their
season.
arts.
Yeah,
and just
way
the
you
way
can
that it
Yoda-
like visually represents the the fall rise of not just democracy
The
but of
Galaxy
hope, like
Republic. Yeah.
like the city like has a look, then it's dragged down into being this sort of like
hell in season four.
imperialized like defender factories and the hell and everything, and then by the time Sabine is looking at it in the epilogue, it looks like a utopia. The
Sure.
city is white and the
That
skyscrapers
paralleled
are
it.
taller
First
than they've ever
time,
been.
first
and-
shot of Rebels.
Damn.
The way it parallels. Oh my god.
I want to
That's
show
fair.
my family Rebels so badly. Like that's
My-
like one of my dreams. I always dream about. Like I want to show them show people in general how fucking perfect this is.
Rebels
I
is
think the
such
best
a-
stories ever.
It's such a great journey for my brother and I. It started in 2014. It's the year I got into college as an undergraduate. So I like went through college watching Rebels since day one, and it's just the growth of all the characters went through the same growth as me, my brother.
Mhm.
It's like my brother's number one as well as Rebels. We just love Kanan, Sabine, Kanan Jedi Knight episode. I like, especially on rewatch. When you rewatch it, knowing what's going to happen,
Mhm.
tears.
I
tears.
cried
Fucking
through
good.
the whole last half of
The
season
whole-
4 on this rewatch.
Oh man,
It's so good.
it's hard to get.
Kanan is my fourth favorite Star Wars character and my favorite
Yeah.
Jedi in Star Wars.
What's the episode after Jedi Knight? After he dies?
Doom.
That's World War II
Doom.
Worlds. I
That's
think, right?
all
Yeah.
tears. It's hard to watch
Hera,
the
the
episode.
aftermath and Hera's reaction and that scene where
Yeah.
this is.
There's
Getting
so
lost
much.
and stuff.
There's also there's so much in Rebels that I think is
Uh-huh.
one of my favorite things about any creative art, and it's got the fuck you deal with it like
Yeah.
spirit to it.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
what? How did the wolves do that? What does it mean? And it's just like, I don't know. I'm gonna tell you
Not
if I
even
did.
fucking explain.
it's-
That's my
it's
favorite part
so-
of Star Wars right there.
It's so powerful to make people react to a story and figure it out for themselves and figure out what it means to them, and not have Dave Filoni explain it to you.
Mhm.
And I think that is what, in the end, is always one of the strongest things I
Mhm.
feel.
What
about Star Wars
what
Rebels.
Nikki said about like that thing about that one project that just connects to you, like you with Nikki with Return of the Jedi, that's me with Rebels.
Mhm.
Like it's just so special
Yeah.
to me.
I was the same age as Ezra the whole time, 15 through
Yeah.
20 when it ended. It's crazy.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think to wrap up, we should just whip through our personal list real quick.
Yeah, I gotta head out soon here too.
Are we all gonna read them off, or you have the screen?
Yeah,
I have
let's look
pictures.
this
I have
shit up.
pictures that we still.
Oh, you
Yeah,
have
the
pictures.
receipts.
Okay.
It's got the
Okay.
receipts, the
Let me
legitimate
guess me
receipts.
first.
So let's start with Sean's. This fucker.
The
Okay.
worst one, right, Josh?
Last
Right?
Jedi. Number
Return of the Jedi
9.
number 10. Interesting. Okay.
You want to?
Oh, I did have Return of the Jedi on. I didn't even realize that.
I didn't really-
We should have had games. I was telling Josh this earlier, but I really wish we had games. so I
Games
could
are-
follow
it-
more
It's
around.
completely different. It's so hard to
Yeah.
judge. a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, it's a different kind of
I
narrative.
mean,
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
Star Wars is a media. More about media.
No one tell Test Sater, did you?
What did Nikki say?
It goes, yeah, no thanks.
Digi, if that was the case, Racer would be your number 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, or Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
I'd probably Racer. Yeah.
If it was top 10 if games were in there, I'd probably have Knights of the Old Republic 2 in there somewhere.
Honestly,
I'll put
Battlefront
KOTOR
2, like
one,
2017.
KOTOR would be number 1.
here.
Empire at War. There we go.
Ooh.
Tiber
Jeez.
Zan, baby.
That's a
Sean,
shit
do you have
game.
the? Do you want to comment on any of this?
Pretty basic list. But
Pretty good. Pretty
I
good
care
list.
mostly
Basic,
about-
sure.
I care mostly about
Road One over The Last Jedi.
Rogue One over that bottom 4.
Insanity.
in my humble opinion.
Is it underrated?
I just-
Appreciated? Did
Yeah.
it make any money at the box office?
I care
The
mostly
most
about
underrated film of all time.
overall. I care mostly about the kind of stuff that was in the last 4 episodes of Rebels and whatever that is. Overall,
Yeah, Clone
I
Wars
care
about
the most
Rebels
about.
though.
I know. I'm trying to say I care mostly about that stuff, not specifically the whole thing. Right. This is what means the most to me personally. This list, not
Oh,
exactly. what
really? I
love the
didn't
most.
know that.
I thought that's what we were going for, by the way. So,
We are. I'm kidding. Yeah.
but yes, this is what means the most personal.
This is just the roast portion of the episode.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
That's
only
why we're
different
doing
parts, so we all pretty much have similar lists. So it's like I try to be different, honestly.
Oh,
That's why
come
I put
on.
PLJ at number one, honestly.
oh,
Come on.
Apple's the
Patrick
number one.
back first. I'm trying to be different.
I know. Own the list. Own the
in
list.
this group, that's kind of different.
Also,
That is
Regis,
true.
we didn't talk about there's no prequels. On
I
this
can't
list.
believe that. I'm pretty surprised.
I'm
actually.
shocked. Yeah.
especially with the
I
age
didn't have
group
any
of the
on
people
mine
here.
personally.
Yeah.
I had one on
Let's
there.
just-
and
let's get
you
to
know
mine
it was
real
Attack of the
quick.
Clones.
Okay. What's next?
We have mine right here. I did the whole.
Oh, you
one.
got the full list here.
full
Damn.
list. Resistance is my
Motherfucker
number
wrote
10.
the
I
whole
am sad that Resistance.
Bad
This is
Batch
my
and
number
Book
10
of
as well.
Boba at 17 and 18.
Yup.
You're a madman.
It's rough.
That batch is way too low. Wow.
Didn't love
Right,
it.
that's below the Book of Boba Fett.
My Book of
Choice.
Boba was also very low, but I
Mine
don't know
too.
if that's just like not having enough time with it. Things
I
just
agree.
being like so good in the first place. It's like
Yeah,
but
I
yeah.
do like that Resistance is in your 10.
I
I'll
love
spoil
Resistance
mine and
so
say
much.
it's in mine.
I love Team Fireball so much.
Team
Resistance
Fireball.
is a delightful
I-
shot of Star Wars.
Like
Season two
hyperbole
Resistance-
aside, it is the most underrated and underappreciated thing in Star Wars.
Season
That is
1
true.
Resistance was great. Season 2 Resistance was fantastic.
Season 2 of Resistance is legit great,
So
and if
good.
you love the sequels and you skipped it for whatever reason, shame.
The thing-
Yeah.
the thing that I-
Nathan,
the thing that I
be
fucking
clear.
love, the thing that I fucking
Yeah.
love the most about Star Wars is I love and adore Resistance, and it was dead last on the list for me. Like it's amazing how like it's all so good that when someone's at the bottom, you're like, fuck.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Like
Wait.
I dog on Rogue One, but like I will watch that before most movies.
yeah.
Like, it's still Star
See,
Wars.
Clone
fun.
Wars movie, I still like it a lot. 'Cause it's just 3 episodes of Clone Wars.
I haven't
Clone Wars
seen it
movie is
in
great.
ages.
The Clone Wars movie is better than Rogue One. First of all,
Oh my
Wow.
God.
I
Which-
stand there
Wow.
with you. I'll stand there and die
Well,
with you.
granted, I haven't seen the
Fuck
Clone Wars
you
movies in
even get
ages.
that
I don't even
from?
know what it looks like. So
Clone Wars movie actually makes sense for the first 40 minutes.
yeah, you're not planet hopping from planet to planet. But what's next?
Okay,
Yeah,
who's is next? We have Evans.
Oh, it's mine.
There you go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Resistance
TLJ.
up there. Love to see it.
Resistance in the top
Visions.
10.
I had
Well,
Visions at 8, I think.
there are
Yeah.
things that I see. I didn't do a full thing. I only did my 10.
I cropped my 10 out, so I do have a list, but
I had
If
to
you want
put
to send me
Tross
a
at
road
the
trip, I'd
bottom.
put it in here. Did you?
Tross did not do my stomach right. I still feel ill about that movie.
Attack of the
Um,
Clones so low.
I'm sorry. And I had so much fun with it. I was like, do I put Attack of the Clones above Book of Boba Fett? I don't
Painful.
know.
Yeah.
But I might. Those could be switched. But
Solo so low.
I had Solo.
Get it?
Yeah.
But,
oh wow.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I had Solo. Solo's great, but I prefer Bad Batch season 1. I think is probably one of the best season 1s of any Star Wars show.
That's true.
preach.
That's
I
true.
love Bad Batch. Resistance, of course. I put Resistance over Bad Batch because there's 2 seasons of Resistance.
Bad Batch
Um,
wasn't for me.
Okay.
Resistance is also gorgeous,
I don't know,
which people don't really talk about. Like
Resistance is
Oh, yeah, the
beautiful.
art
Star Wars
style.
Resistance is like painterly. That shit looks so beautiful.
Those flight sequences, fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But I am glad my 1 and 2 are 1 and 2 on this podcast, except and 1, 2, and 3, I guess. Or yeah. Yeah. So TLJ should have been number 1, but I'll take the L. I'll take the number 2.
Still
yeah.
honorable.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So we have Aldens.
Now that's a list.
I can live with that.
Rise of Skywalker at
Visions,
6.
Resistance, yes. Thank you.
But that's a
Attack of the
list,
Clones.
baby.
Rise
oh.
of Skywalker, number 6.
You can't help but
Odin!
respect all
I
these
respect
swings.
it. Yeah.
But here's the thing
Well,
about
I
this
agree with
that Nikki made me feel ashamed of myself is that New Hope's not on there.
Whoa.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize it while I was
Yeah.
doing it. Because like okay, so take out shows and Return, Last Jedi and Return being 1A, 1B.
Uh-huh.
So Last Jedi, Return, Solo, Rise, and Clones is my top 5 Star Wars movies.
Interesting. It's a
Man-
fascinating list.
Attack
was
of the
always
Clones
gonna
above
be in there.
Empire.
Then I had
respect that.
to insert
Wow.
shows where I felt they would be necessary, and then by the end I had a strong 8, and then I was like 9 and 10. I gotta represent like my gorgeous animated sort of babies.
Yeah.
So like This list is I wouldn't call it definitive. Like I said, I think I can live with it.
Yeah, mine was.
Um,
I think all of us. Like our list just changes.
Always changes.
All the
it
time,
always
all the
changes
time.
outside
There might
of
be a
really
few
those
locks,
top
but
few.
like, yeah.
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 And also, I was also knowing that this was going to be a tabulated thing, and so there was also value in having Rebels and Last Jedi where they are, and
Yeah.
you know, trying to. I mean, the great Rogue One lockout is the greatest success of this entire thing.
We
Is
did it.
the-
We did it, Joe.
We did
we
it.
did it, Joe.
Sorry,
One commenter be like,
Alden just
Sorry,
hates
Tom.
diversity, guys. He fucking hates that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Who do I hate?
You hate diversity, right?
Oh yeah.
I just hate that we wasted Fraser cinematography on Rogue One.
Oh my!
Wasted.
That's the worst thing
He
said
actually made a
tonight.
good movie.
That is the worst fucking
He
thing.
could
I've
have
ever
made a
done.
good one.
Oh,
And we had
man.
to
That is
use
the
him on
worst
Rogue One.
shit I have ever heard.
That's okay though, because we
Holy
had
fuck.
we had him on Mando. He was able to
Great.
do something fun and good.
Tony Gilroy's gonna leave a comment under the podcast. They're like, "You're so right."
It's like-
known Star Wars hater
You do
Tony
admit
Gilroy.
that Rogue One is one of the more striking Star Wars movies, though.
Yeah,
It's
It
very
was
pretty.
shot really
It's
well.
very
We
beautiful.
watched
It's
it last
beautiful
night.
movie.
It's gorgeous.
yeah.
It's very pretty.
The,
I think
the
that
shot in the music too when on Scarif when the Death Star comes in the frame, like the clouds.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
That movie gets
Okay.
scale on a whole new level. Whole new level.
So next we have
Nikki. That's one of Nikki and I's favorite Rogue One points. It's the scale stuff.
Mhm.
Star Wars
as
has
you
never
should.
been big.
wait,
Nikki.
that's right.
Nikki. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
Nikki's
that's right.
You gonna get my fresh one, Josh? My full one?
There.
There we
I'm
go.
missing
now that's-
Edgar.
That's a list.
It's a thick list.
Thick like
like
oatmeal.
Look at that right there.
Bad
Oh,
Batch number 8. Love that. Okay.
I still can't believe, guys, that we
Hmm.
didn't fit a prequel in the top
It's
10.
wild, yeah.
That's
really
wild
shocking.
to me because I feel like we're the group that would like love some of the prequels, especially.
Hey,
Revenge.
I fucking tried, all right?
I had
I was
Revenge in
tried
my
the
top
hardest.
10.
I was in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like I said, it's absurd. Like, right, especially now, I have so much love for Attack of the Clones, and like seeing it put here like this, like it makes me sad that it sits where
Yeah.
it does.
Are you
But
guys
like,
gonna watch?
it's
Attack of
just
the Clones with us
insane.
on this anniversary.
Force Awakens that low. That is insane. I'm sorry. I don't
Again,
get that.
it's about what you get
It's
when
preference.
you,
Yeah, I
when you
did
need
it.
And
It's
and
crazy.
again, like it's my most watched movie of all time. It's pure magic. But I mean, there's just things that resonate so powerfully
yeah.
in every other thing above it.
The Phantom
Yeah.
Menace. I like that number 6. That was good too.
So
Phantom
we
Yeah,
Menace
I
is
mean,
a
and it's
sequel?
We can
your
only
life,
roast my
right? Like-
list, is what you're saying, Nikki.
Like the Phantom Menace came out when I was the same age as Anakin. Like, it's
Yeah,
just,
I mean that's just
it's
that's you
like
up
that's
there,
how it
you know?
goes, you know.
Mhm.
Okay, I need to bring up Edgar's real quick. So give me a second.
Nikki also had a little friend named Kitster that had a way worse life than him.
I swear to God, one of my best friends growing up looked exactly like Kitster. Like I thought it was
I
him.
look like
I thought it was him.
I straight up look like Kitster when I was.
If I could get a side
10
by
years
side,
old.
you'd be shocked.
Okay.
That guy had been on Star Wars show a few times. I'm surprised he's never done a celebration.
Right?
I would love to get him to sign the photo of when Anakin's being lifted in the air. And he's looked so pissed.
Okay, we have Edgar's list right here.
Oh no.
Great list.
Vision,
Last Jedi,
Eye,
Empire,
Love It.
Rebels.
This is
great
a good list
W
too. I like this list.
Fucking W list right here.
Yep,
That was a good list.
no complaints.
Yeah.
Solo
I
and
will-
Vision's getting in there.
Something that I will say about Rebels is that for me, Rebels is like the prime example of like transcending the animation like format of
Yeah.
storytelling. Like whenever people complain about, oh, it's a
Mhm.
cartoon, like bro, shut the
Mhm.
fuck up and watch it. Like it's
People
so-
say that like Rebels isn't as good looking as Clone Wars. It's different. It's a different style.
It's supposed
It is
to be
being
rough.
Corey.
The
Yeah.
Macquarie painting.
Ralph McQuarrie. Yeah, it's not supposed to be realistic, or like
It's
that
like-
have that. Clown,
And I'm sorry, but like I think that Clone Wars is gorgeous. I think that season 7, and I mean Batch just took it to the next level. Batch looks live action with the trees and stuff, but I prefer the rounded
too.
faces of Rebels
love
to the,
the
boxy
colors.
faces of
Yeah.
Clone Wars.
I really look forward to whenever there's another animated project that either goes something close to Rebels or makes a whole new stylistic.
That's why I
choice.
love Resistance,
Mhm.
because Resistance was so good.
Yeah, I mean,
It had
Resistance,
different
like
art
getting to
style.
see, you didn't get to see a lot of your characters realize that way, but you did get Poe, you did get Kylo and Phasma.
Exactly,
and
Nathan.
Mhm.
Yes,
Skinny
Nate,
Blades
yeah.
are great. Yeah, if we got to
Vanilla,
do a Rebels style, like a rounded faces and things like that with today's money.
That's why I'm really interested in Tales of the Jedi. I really
Rebels
hope we did different art
Remastered.
styles. We did
Rebels
Rebels kind of
Remastered.
art
Yeah,
style.
just keep everything the
We'll go for the
same and let
longest
Joel
time
Aaron
and
just give
just-
Joel Aaron millions.
The Joel Aaron cut.
Right.
Joel Aaron's Star Wars Rebels. Put that shit in black and white too. I'll eat it up.
Justice is
Wait,
gray.
Edgar, you have Revenge of the Sith on there.
Yeah,
I think you and Sean had it on there. Who else?
and I think
me,
Evan too.
and me, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Surprised that okay, that was number 11. So that almost
Ooh.
made it in.
Yeah. Once I saw
Let me bring up
Visions
the
get in
points
there,
real quick.
Yeah.
Let me bring up the points. system.
Once I saw Visions, I was like, we might be in for some surprises.
Okay, let's see what the cumulative last.
Yeah, because
was.
Josh, you said there was a change between the one before me and the one
Yeah,
after
so
me.
if you weren't showing up, Nikki, Return of Jedi and New Hope would have been tied, and Revenge of the Sith would have gone at number 10.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Thanks a
Yeah,
lot,
we'll make
Nikki.
it.
No,
I killed the prequel. I
That's my
killed
boy.
it.
You're like J.J. Abrams with the bones of Jar Jar.
I know. Wait, what would you do in the case of a tie?
He'll go to
I
me.
just tie
I'm
him.
the
I just tie
tiebreaker.
him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a list where you think a certain movie or certain thing is better than the other thing, like from a filmmaking perspective or whatever, and then you have a personal list? Because that's what I have.
I
don't
try
really
to do
have
that.
No.
I
It's
just mush
very
them
difficult.
together.
Like
I just have one
I-
list.
mine is mostly soul and heart and like favorites, but there is also like I will notate in my brain like
Because I have Last Jedi at number 3
Okay.
in terms of best, in terms of just overall.
So here's how
perspective.
the points
Yeah.
worked out. See how like Rebels and Last Jedi
Oh, I
just
see
ran
what
with
you
it.
mean.
48 points. Where's Rebels at? I can't find it.
Rebels.
There it is.
is,
54.
54. Yeah.
54, 48. Oh. This is what the Oscars should do. Give us a point score.
Dude,
so,
ranked
to explain
choice
how the
Oscars
points
is the
work,
future.
To explain how it worked is that if the film was number 10 on our list, it got 10 points.
Bad Batch got
And still on.
less than Rise of Skywalker, guys. I'm disappointed, but okay.
The Clone Wars film got 0.
0
Yeah.
and for Book of Boba Fett got 0 as well.
Look,
Yeah.
that's. I think that's just fair. Right? Like
Force
they're not.
Yeah.
They're not top 10. They're great, but they're not top
Awakens at 20, 27.
But I love that everything else got on there. That's,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I like
well
it.
varied it is.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
I think this was a
Any,
success.
Closing-
I
yeah,
have
we
no-
made a good
I
little
have
list.
no complaints of what the top
Yeah.
10 is.
Nope.
I'm just shocked that there's not a prequel, but that's apparently my fault. So
Yeah. You should post his top 10 on the.
All right, that's my actual
Twitter
list
sphere.
right there, like my genuine list.
Oh.
I just put it.
Sean's like, but actually,
No, but like,
What are you doing?
wait,
What are
I
you doing?
swear.
you can't
I
reset
swear
the
to God.
theme, Sean.
Sean's
Where did
doing
you put it?
PR.
Can you, Josh, can you change
Just
everything real quick?
do a
Just-
PR clean up.
Just do everything
Yeah.
real quick. Let's see what it looks like right now.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see what
So
altered everything.
Sean's
gonna run
out here
it.
like stop the steal.
Stop
Stop the count.
Stop
Stop
the
the count.
We're good. We're
stop
good.
the count.
Stop the camera.
So to run it back, let's just run through it real quick.
Yeah.
We have number 10, Visions. Number 9, Solo: A Star Wars Story. Number 8, The Mandalorian. 7, The Force Awakens.
Mhm.
6, The Clone Wars, the series.
Should have been higher.
5, A New Hope.
The blueprint.
Fantastic.
4, Return of the Jedi. 3, Empire Strikes Back. 2, The Last Jedi. And 1, Star Wars Rebels.
Man, I'm so happy for a 1 and 2. I really am.
Yeah, it's the
did
perfect
well.
1 and 2.
That's why we're all
Also-
friends here.
What, at least for on our part, what a fantastic endorsement of this Disney era of Star Wars.
Yeah,
Like obviously the original trilogy
they all got it
is
in,
such
right?
a such an amazing piece of every Star Wars fans group favorites. But like we nailed we got a lot of great stuff.
Sean is scrambling in the private chat right now
Okay.
for the listeners.
He's trying
Oh, the
hard,
private
guys.
chat.
Oh my god. What an end. What an
Oh
end.
man.
Okay, so
Now
any
here's
other closing thoughts?
this is my closing thought right here. I'm so glad you asked. Obi-Wan Kenobi is about to disrupt this whole game.
Obi-Wan Kenobi at number
I
10.
I really think that Deborah on that show
Really?
is a perfect match for so many reasons. I think that Taika kind of doesn't count because he's already doing blockbusters and features, but like out of the TV directors that they assembled, I think she's the strongest for me. I know that there's a great argument to be made for Rick, and I think that this is about to be something truly special.
Yeah, we did this with the A24 episode. Let's just take a little look at the future. Like Alden started Obi-Wan, the next series coming out. We have
But I agree with Alden there. This is the first Star Wars show outside of the Filoni, Favreau umbrella a little bit. This is all.
yeah, that's why it's interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be so
Right.
refreshing.
Yeah, and I think it wakes people up to, like, I was talking to somebody who has never seen The Mandalorian and didn't even know that this was coming out. But I was like, yeah, Ewan McGregor's back for Obi-Wan. He's like, shit, really? And like, this just has this really unique flavor to it of anticipation that nothing yet has had.
It's
And
crazy.
It's gonna be really interesting to
It's
see
so
how it shakes out.
interesting too, because this is the first time a project has aired during Celebration.
It's crazy to think about, like that exact thing I was gonna say. At D23 in Anaheim, it was announced that it would be happening, and now 3 years later, we're gonna watch it in Anaheim, the same fucking place. It's
That's
insane.
crazy.
It's fucking crazy to think about.
It's
Like, no
nuts,
one
and
could've picked it up.
I mean, this and what we stand to gain here this year. There's something for everyone, and like you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, Bad Batch season 2, Andor, and The Mandalorian season 3, all in a calendar year. It's just
And Vision
bananas.
season 2, maybe Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah,
next
whenever
year's gonna
those
be
hit.
next year's gonna be so fucking weird. Like
And then next
2021
year,
was a weird
like,
year.
Next year,
Yeah.
supposedly a feature. Ahsoka,
Ahsoka.
the Acolyte.
Acolyte.
I mean,
That's
Mando
2023.
4, Andor
I don't think
2.
it's coming out until
like,
24.
what?
Ahsoka.
Acolyte?
You
The
don't think
Acolyte?
so?
Maybe
You
not.
don't know.
I don't know.
That's when 24 probably.
I
If
know
it's
that
filming this year,
Acolyte,
Filming, I think it's
Mandalorian
June,
anyway.
right?
Acolyte's
Ac-
shooting at the end of summer.
If it shoots in the end of summer, it can easily come out next year.
I'd say Mandalorian is going to stretch into 2023. Like the way Book
Mandalorian
of
is
Boba Fett
Christmas,
did.
I
So
think.
The way
besides
Book of Boba Fett did, like it'll start
got
in December and then
Strange
go
New Worlds. It's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
so great.
House of the Dragon.
yeah.
The Rings of
Sadly,
Power.
not The Last of Us.
Last of
It's
Us.
dumb.
Rings of
Published,
Power,
sadly.
Last of Us, fucking hell. Netflix just
But I
dying.
think, honestly, I think Andor
She-Hulk.
is my most anticipated. of
Andor's
this
the
year.
Andor has the most
Andor is a
potential.
sleeper.
by far.
Andor is a
Yeah.
sleeper.
Killer coming in.
Motherfucker,
Andor it's 12
'Cause, yeah,
episodes.
like,
it's not using the volume. It's
Tony
like
Gilroy,
all,
baby.
all Pinewood and Pratt.
Tony-
production level.
The savior of
Motherfuckers
Star
will
Wars,
watch-
Tony
Tony-
Gilroy.
Tony
Tony
They'll watch
Gilroy.
Andor and they'll be like, "Oh my god!"
Also,
Forrest Gump
Cassian is
show,
my
I should be
favorite-
Watching this show.
Cassian's my favorite character in Road One, so
Yeah.
it's really
Ryan
Same,
Johnson,
exciting.
he was all
same.
Tony Gilroy.
he's
yeah.
right there, but I think Chirrut's my favorite, but Cassian's still awesome.
Yeah, Cassian.
Andor
I'm
really has the
excited
most
for that
potential.
because for as much as what I like to make fun of Rogue One of, which I still do enjoy. I feel like
Which will not
the
be
Andor
changed.
show. I feel like the Andor show is gonna give me the things I like the most about Rogue One
For sure.
Yeah.
in focus.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that super excited.
Yeah, Alden, you're not allowed to watch it though. I'm sorry.
That's cool. I'm okay not having Andor rights.
Andor's gonna
Um,
be fucking amazing.
Although if General Merrick is in it, then I will have to intrude. And
General
hope
Merrick's
so.
supremacy. The unsung
Merrick
heroes
is
I
of
need
Rogue One.
the guy who yells,
Yeah.
"What is she proposing?" I need him.
Oh, Senator Nor
I know.
Javel
Yeah, I
that
forgot his
guy.
name.
The best news is that we got Jimmy Smits again.
Hell yeah.
Smits.
And
Ah,
O'Reilly.
so we have Smits, we have Mothma. Does that mean we're gonna get Radis?
Hopefully.
I hope so,
Steven
yeah.
Stanton.
I pray.
Why?
I
Also,
love
why did Diego Luna get an executive producer?
So he did touch
Credit.
Jabba.
To not have Jabba. If Jabba's not in it, why did he work so hard?
It makes like
Yeah.
you could literally. It doesn't need to be a plot point. It could be like the season starts and it's like where's Agent Andor? And it's like he's
Cut to
trying
Jabba's
to-
palace.
he's trying to leave Jabba's
caressing his-
palace.
He's
with
in, like,
piece of
a-
information.
He's in a Hut Slayer outfit. He's,
No, not
he's
like this.
lying on Jabba, just
Not like
stroking
this.
him.
I really hope the majority of the show takes place on Coruscant, and you get to see like the fucking Senate chambers again. You know,
I
that
don't
would be
think
fucking
I don't
amazing.
think majority, but I think we might get a
Or a
shot.
large portion of it.
You get some
It's
machinations
like, I
because
want it
again,
all
like,
in the Jedi Temple.
the Imperial Senate is strong. and-
Exactly. Like you get to see the whole, like in A New Hope when they say the Senate's dissolved. Like you get to see
Do
the
we-
whole transformation.
The regional
I think-
governors.
I think Leia is showing up in Chernobyl. Do we think she's a show
Yeah.
Andor?
Possible. Yeah. She
I
could.
don't see why not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We get
Definitely
Leia Princess of
possible.
Alderaan vibes. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be cool to see the Imperial Senate. But also because in Rogue One, like literal plot point is we're gonna get Galen Erso to testify in front of him.
Yeah, that
Oh
would
my
have been the.
yeah, is Mads
Like,
coming
yeah.
back?
No.
It's
maybe
gonna
a-
be like
I could see a Mads
that's gonna be like
cameo,
some
I mean.
Ahsoka
Did they
Ahsoka
say
trial scene type
Did
did they say
beat right
Krennic
there.
is in it for sure?
That's a
Yeah,
report,
they haven't
but they
said,
didn't say.
but-
They haven't said
Oh,
anything.
we need Ben Mendelsohn
All
back.
they've said is Andor and himself, and then cast
new
members like
characters,
Stellan
yeah.
Skarsgård, but
Stellan
they have not.
Skarsgård.
They've never said a character.
Did
That's
they
all
confirm
been reported.
Adria Arjona? Or is that also
We know she's in it, but we don't know who she's
She's in
playing.
it.
But that's like
um,
Lucasfilm.
yeah.
Said, okay.
I'm
Stellan
sure that
Skarsgård,
studio
Adria
showcase
Arjona.
we're to know everything.
The studio
Oh, the
showcase will
trailer-
probably drop the trailer for it.
That
Um,
panel is to be insane. 90
I
minutes.
have
Shout out,
been-
shout out to who gets the celebration stage lottery. Like you're just
I
a
have
lucky
been
We
guy.
have, a
advised-
large chance of getting out.
We have a
because
good
12
group.
people.
Good size
One
group.
person-
I have
out
been
of the 12,
advised by
we have a high
people
chance.
that you want to be there.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
I've heard too.
I don't know
It's
anything.
the
but
one.
It feels like
It's be like. It's cool that there be like basically a D23 panel at Celebration.
I hope that panel happens, and then right as it ends, they're like, "Oh, hey, there's someone else that wants to talk," and James Mangold comes out, and it's done.
I don't even care what seats I get. I don't care if I'm the worst fucking.
Here,
guy
I
from
think
you.
that's. I think the other than end it. There's that slot in Thursday afternoon that's still open. Everyone
Mhm.
at those panels will get tickets to a premiere of Chernobyl.
Mhm.
That's happening. Celebration after or like the.
I don't think I want to
Indian
watch it
celebration.
with a crowd.
I
Everybody
would
being
accept-
loud and shit.
I would
We were
accept
talking
crowd. I will not watch it in a hotel room party. I'm sorry.
A crowd,
love
yeah, you're
everybody.
right. A crowd is
Crowd
better.
will watch.
I'm not
But
You
making
have a
Hotel
big
content.
ass fucking
No.
screen. You have a.
Yeah.
It's like you're watching a movie, man. Like
I'm not watching it with like reactors or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear. Yeah.
Nathan.
He's back.
The
I don't want
only
people
good
doing their little
reaction
poses for
is
their
crowd
thumbnails. Like, I don't need all that.
Nathan is.
Sorry,
crushing
Nathan.
it. Is he in the chat?
I gotta head out here soon, Josh.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
so let's wrap it
this
up.
was a good time.
Strong 240.
Good time, strong list.
I gotta
what
be
was
up in
it?
3 hours. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, where do people find you?
At Clone Commando Bakara, at CC Bakara. My ad's right there on Twitter.
Awesome. Evan, where can people find you?
Follow me on Twitter at HarrisEV9, talking all things. No more Big Brother. Sorry, guys.
Survivor though, right?
Survivor was great yesterday. Yeah, talking Survivor. We did our commentary on Nathan's channel, Nathan Rojas. We did Lost World Jurassic Park yesterday. And then on Tuesday, we talked about
What a-
Multiverse of
what a
Madness
picture.
and Moon Knight. Yeah, Lost World was so much fun. It was
Mm.
great. So yeah, always on that podcast as well. And always, I love doing this. This was a great second episode of a top 10.
Yeah, this
for
would
you guys.
be recurring. Like I said, we'll be doing this a lot more. Nikki, where do people find you?
Yeah, you can find me personally at Nequicious, Naquicious. You can find me talking Star Wars on the Imperial Senate podcast at Imp Senate Pod. You can listen to the One and Done Film Club, which might be my favorite project ever done,
Oh, yeah.
with Alden, with my other friend Reed. We watch franchise, or what do? We talk about a franchise and we decide. We debate which one we can watch. We only get to watch one per franchise, so it's a blast. Evan just talked about The Lost World. We just watched The Lost World for
The
our
Lost
Jurassic
World.
entry. And yeah, it's a great time if you love really long episodes where you also watch a movie. Yeah, that is at one, the letter N, Done Show. And then I'll let Alden plug the last thing.
Alden, where can people find you?
Yeah, as you can find me at that Alden Diaz, THATALDENDIAZ. Octa Radio Star Wars podcast, which is my main show interviewing people in the Star Wars space, Lucasfilm writers, whatever that's going to be. Just had Shelby Young on, the voice of Princess Leia.
Nice.
She's also in Bad Batch. She's also in Visions. And then Nikki and I do a show there called A Rewatch Between Worlds, which is our in-depth Rebels analysis all the way from the beginning to the end. Episodic discussions that are also kind of commentaries, but also all the behind-the-scenes content. Working on locking in some Rebels interviews right now. One and Done Film Club, like Nikki mentioned. And then I'll be on a Star Wars Celebration panel Saturday morning at the same time as Dave and John.
Man.
So,
Priorities, right, Josh?
but that's you roll the dice, and I'm okay with that. It's still it's still
Just
Star Wars
support our boy
Celebration
Alden.
and everything. And talking about Latin representation in Star Wars
Awesome.
and all that jazz. So that'll be a lot of fun. And you can also find me at the Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles every night after Celebration closes across the street. So.
And my co-host Edgar, where do people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at EDG or Tech, either Instagram, Twitter. I'll be here for the next couple of episodes. I don't know what are we doing next. Is it?
I think the next one is this Sunday. We're doing a special Rebels retrospective mixed in with a little celebration preview.
Yeah.
So
So,
that'll
yeah,
be a fun
tune in
one.
for that. Can't wait to get to Attack of the Clones so we can talk about chicken nuggets. Well, whatever the fuck is happening on screen.
Talked about Dutno, of course.
Yeah. Find some of my written work at Loud and Clear Reviews. That's it for me.
Okay. You'd find me at Josh D. Woodbury on Twitter, talking about all kinds of things. Film, everything Star Wars. There'll be a lot of Star Wars towards the end of the month when I'm at Celebration, obviously. And you'd find this podcast at WHFG Podcast on Twitter for announcements of when we're going live, what shows we're doing, and everything. So, yeah, that was a good little episode. Fun one. Little. It was very long, actually.
Over delivered, baby.
Maybe one of our longest. But yeah.
2 hours of sleep.
Celebrations will be at
Whoa.
time. And remember, heartbreak feels good in a galaxy far, far away.